Packers! It's a Packer show where we talk about Green Bay Packers only sometimes. Or we
Nothing
get there.
else.
We get there. We had like a trolling comment from our last video where Ben took over the first part of the show and talked about his haircut, which you can see it's grown quite a bit in a week. And
Is it? I don't even know.
it has. And then, you know, you went on all the other stuff and it was fine. I was entertained and I think some people were, but so somebody didn't like it. And I love this part of their comment. Did you get this part? And I'm not trying to, I mean, hey, we all got our things, but the comment was, I've tried watching this twice 15 minutes in and no Packers. Good luck with that. And they were out. And I'm like, so you tried watching it twice, the same part.
No.
And
They watched two different episodes. I know exactly what the guy meant.
I don't think so.
You're just being a jerk. What's up, dude?
I'm not being a jerk. I think I think it was the definition of insanity. You do the same thing, you expect a different result. That's what I thought it was.
That's not what he was doing.
Whatever. That's the way I read it. So that's the way.
Oh man, dude is in the house.
Well, man, dude. We got lots of Packer stuff to talk about tonight. I'm excited. Training camp, Ben. Training camp.
Well,
Wait, I gotta turn down my excitement because I know my voice gets a little annoying when it gets too high. Go ahead.
Yeah, I gotta start with something that's not Packer related first.
Dang it! What the?
Because
you're killing us. You're killing us.
I just gotta ask a simple question. Is it weird? Is it weird for somebody to take 4 dumps in an 8-hour period?
Is this you we're talking about or somebody else?
I can't disclose. You're muted again. Okay.
Not necessarily. That's because there was like rumbling up above. Not necessarily. It depends, you know, what were your eating habits the previous 3, 4, 5 days. What were your exporting habits those 3, 4, 5 days? And
I was still pooping normal.
So
today I pooped 4 times.
Well, you know what that means? That just means that you were full of shit. That's what that means.
That's right. And guess who else is full of shit?
Who?
Aaron Rodgers.
It's hilarious. Who cares about him? I don't even care.
Oh, we got to talk it up. We got to bring it up.
Because now you know it's probably... What is it?
Minutes.
Is it because him and Devontae got a little thing going and they're wiggling some stuff out so Devontae can join Dalvin Cook and him and Randall Cobb? Is that really it? What does that say to Randall Cobb? Aaron Rodgers, if it really happens that way, if you were Randall Cobb, would you still be Aaron Rodgers' friend?
I wouldn't.
No way, I wouldn't either. Like,
I mean,
if that's how it plays out, you took a $35 million pay cut so you could get this guy here, whereas I had to take a $5 million pay cut so you could max out your contract previously. That's some bull crap. Randall Cobb, you're too good of a person for Aaron Rodgers. Let me just say that.
And I just wanted to bring up just a quick thing on the $35 million pay cut, Aaron Rodgers pay cut. This isn't like an Aaron Jones pay cut where, you know, Aaron Jones is pretty much forced to pay it or the Packers are forced to cut him and then he has to go to another team. Aaron Jones wants to stay with the Packers. And he knows the only way that he can stay with the Packers is if he takes this massive pay cut of whatever, how much, $5-6 million, whatever it was, for him to stay on the team. Actually, it was like $9. I can't remember exactly how much it was. But anyways, what I am saying is there's a lot of people out there who are angry. Or some are angry about this all of a sudden, right? And I'm just like, how are you surprised by this? This is not a surprise move. Number 2, the Aaron Rodgers supporters are saying, look at how he's such a great guy. Oh my God, look at what he's doing, you know, so that the Jets can, you know, restructure and get more guys on the team. He's just the best ever. It's all Goody's fault. It's all Goody's fault. That's all I've heard all week since this happened, which has only been a couple days. But I still heard, you know, people are like, oh, Goody's the problem. Goody's a jerk. Goody's dumb. This is just Aaron Rodgers. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, don't you think Aaron Rodgers would have taken a pay cut if it wasn't for Goody being there? But he wouldn't take it because he knew that Goody's too stupid to know what to do with all the extra cap space. And I'm like, are fans just dumb? Are fans dumb? Do they not know Goody and the Packers? Not only did they have to restructure
everybody,
Aaron Jones, for instance, which is why he had to take the pay cut this year.
Freaking everybody.
Push all that money into the future.
Kenny Clark, all these guys.
Kenny Clark had to be restructured. Dave Bakhtiari had to be restructured. Aaron Jones, who we mentioned already.
Preston.
Well, Preston, Za'Darius. Actually, Za'Darius, they just let him go, so they just took the hit. But Preston, Amos, Billy Turner. Just so you people know, Billy Turner is still part of last year's
the cap.
Contract is still part of this cap, as well as a lot of the guys who were not on the team because their contract expired. Their contract expired, and yet we're still paying for them because the Packers had to force money into the future all the time. But you know who they didn't have to force money into the future for? Well, actually, they did. Aaron Rodgers. They forced money in the future for him to give him the high paying contract he wanted. Not to get him under the cap, but to force it forward so that they could pay him, and then they had to force everybody else forward, and now we are paying for it. We've been paying for it this year. There's $40 million on the cap for Aaron Rodgers, who's not even on the team. Remember that, people? How dumb are you?
And he wouldn't be trying. He wouldn't have been in those practices for the Packers. He wouldn't have been the same Aaron Rodgers.
And the only last thing I'll say is this, real quick. They're saying that Aaron Rodgers, is doing this out of the goodness of his heart to help the Jets. He's doing it to help the Jets win. That's what they said. And I'm going to say this.
Who the hell is spinning that?
I don't believe that for 1 second.
No way. Not from that guy.
Because there's one thing I want to compare between Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. There's two simple things. Brett Favre, for the longest time, I did not like him. Okay, I still don't.
I still don't either, but yeah, go ahead.
But the thing, when Brett Favre got angry and was vengeful and wanted to go on another team and beat the Packers and stick it to the Ted Thompson and all these guys, right? That was reactionary. It was not, it was vengeful, but it was reactionary.
Right.
And anytime Brett Favre threw an interception or said something or whatever it was always reactionary. It was never something that he wanted to do for the most part, right? It was like something happened and then he reacted to it, which is how he threw picks too. He just threw them. He didn't know. He couldn't believe it, right? Okay. But Aaron Rodgers is the exact opposite of that. Everything Aaron Rodgers does, everything Aaron Rodgers says, for the most part, unless you can really catch him, which is very hard, everything he does and says is calculated. Everything he does is vengeful from the start and calculated from the start. And that is why
AJ Hawk used that exact word describing him a couple years ago, remember?
Right.
Like on Pat McAfee, he could let it come out because he was talking loose, hanging. He's like, well, Aaron's really calculated. He uses that exact word. And that is not a positive word.
Well, it
can be, but in the case of this guy, it's not.
But when you add it to vengefulness, right? And not vengeful for hey, I'm going to be honest. One of my favorite movies of all time is The Princess Bride. I mean, one of my favorite movie characters is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father, prepare to die, right? Hello, my name, and all that kind of stuff, right? That's vengeance. That's revenge, right? For the killing of my father. This guy wants revenge because you drafted a dude in his spot that might take his place someday. And then ever since then, he's done nothing but be vengeful the entire time. To find this out now, after all this time, I'm not surprised. I've been saying this stuff for years. Other people have been shocked over who one of the greatest guys of all. Oh, he gives his time to the people, and he very well might.
I did not say he was one of the greatest guys of all time. Yes, I said he did some good things, and I said in general he had done pretty well, at least speaking about his teammates in the media. And then he the last couple of years he threw all that out the window.
Until now.
He gave up on it. Yeah, until now. Yeah, now David says he likes rookies. Oh.
He likes rookies. He likes second-year players. All the guys he's going 20. Peter King said he had an interview with Alan Lazard. He was like, There was like 20 times after plays where Aaron Rodgers is going up to young tight ends and wide receivers and running backs and talking to him a little bit here and there. What kind of stuff is he saying to him? And Alan Lazard is like, oh, well, I'll say this. He's way more relaxed than he's been since I've known him. And it's like, that's all you got to know. That's all you got to know. This guy took his vengeance against Goody and the Packers organization. He squeezed every amount of money he possibly could out of him up to the end. I mean, he got paid $100 million for one season because that was guaranteed. $100 million guaranteed. $100 million guaranteed, people. That's still his. He got it. And we're paying him 40 right now because we paid the other 60 last year. And he's done nothing but tried to make sure he looked good. His numbers were good. All of his stuff was good. And if you think he's trying to make salary cap space for the Jets to help the Jets win, oh no. He's trying to give salary cap space for the Jets to make his numbers look good, to make them hopefully win, yes, but not because he wants the Jets to do well, other than the fact that he's on the team, yes. He wants to make Goody and the Packers brass look like they were the reason the Packers couldn't win. And most dumb people will go, well, Aaron Rodgers on the Packers and he only won one Super Bowl. And then he goes to the Jets and then he wins a Super Bowl. Oh, my God. It must be Aaron Rodgers. And the Packers fall apart. Well, little does he know that the Packers probably aren't going to fall apart because they have too many good players. And the whole reason why they didn't win all those playoff games was you dumbass Rodgers. And that's the difference. This vengeful man will do anything he can to make Goody and the Packers look like chumps. He did it while he was on the team. Now he's doing it while he's on another team. That's the only reason. It has nothing to do with him trying. Oh, he's such a great teammate now. All of a sudden, he's a great teammate. All of a sudden, he's showing up for OTAs. All of a sudden, he's helping the young guys. He wouldn't even talk to Romeo Doubs last year. Now he's apparently talking to everybody. What an ass. I'm going to say the F word now, so cover your ears, little kids. Fuck you, Aaron Rodgers. Fuck you, buddy. Goodbye. If there's ever been a time where Packer fans should not ever let a guy come back into the fold, it's this guy. And don't tell me, he won the Super Bowl. Charles Woodson, Clay Matthews, Greg frickin' Jennings, who deserves way more respect than he ever gets. He always gets shit on by everybody. He was amazing in that damn Super Bowl. Jordy Nelson, if he could have caught a damn ball, holy crap-a-roni.
He could have 14 receptions that Super Bowl. Jordy.
Nick
That's
Collins,
crazy.
Freaking Howard Green, freaking you
Tremont.
damn guy. Ryan Pickett, Tremont Williams, even Jared Bush, all these guys. The whole offensive line from Scotty Wells to, name a guy, whoever was all on there. Even Chad Clifton, I think he played. Or maybe he didn't. I don't even know. Pretty sure he did.
He did that year, yeah.
So, all I'm saying is this. If you think he's doing this to help the Jets, he's given up $35 million to help the Jets for 2 years. He's given up $35 million because he wants revenge on the Packers. That's the reason why he's doing it. Because he didn't give up $35 million or any $1 million at all to help the Packers the entire time he was here. He forced his good buddy, Randall Cobb, to take a $5 million pay cut to stay on the team. He forced his buddy to lose money so he could get as much as he wants. He was happy when his good buddy, Dave Bakhtiari, got the high paying contract. He wanted nothing more than Devontae Adams to get the high paying contract. He wants some of his buddies to get it. And some of them he crapped on, like Randall Cobb, who I don't know why he still thinks that's his friend. Randall Cobb, you should run away from that guy as soon as you can. That's all I'm going to say about that. So I'm done with my Aaron Rodgers rant. If you want to add, go ahead, but it's all vengeance, bro. It's all vengeance because they drafted a quarterback. Oh, my God. How about if you just play better and shut the hell up? What a whiny, pathetic, honestly pathetic.
It's like you said it too. The difference is, right? Favre was a diva.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a baby. Rodgers is the diva baby, like you've said for a long time. You're right.
Totally
and you are right.
All right, on to the Packer news. Go ahead. I know you got a whole bunch of Packer news.
Is that we just transitioned right from the? We
What
just
else
go
is there
right.
to say? I mean, I pretty much said it all. I mean, what do you want me to do? I'm not even mad. Like, I'm more mad because
Oh, you're
people
not? Okay.
shocked. There's people that are shocked. Oh my God, how could he possibly do this? How could he possibly give up $35
Well,
million for that?
they should be
It's really
shocked.
awesome. And I'm like, he's an
They,
asshole.
they should be shocked because he's never done it before. But the reason he
I'm
can do
not
it
shocked.
is the reason he could do it is because he has so much damn money. Like he's made so much money from the Packers, by the way, if you don't remember. Like all of his millions and hundreds of millions of dollars that he's gotten in his career are pretty much from the Green Bay Packers. Now, I get it. He played premium position. He was a great player for them for a long time. Get it. But he never once, like you said, never even took a fraction of a pay cut. He always wanted the maximum amount he could get. And all of a sudden he does this. There's no way it's all some of these positive spin stuff. It is calculated. AJ Hawk, his good friend, said he was calculated by accident. Rasul Douglas let a couple things slip in his podcast with Big Play Slay. Some eye-opening things about Rodgers too, leading to more of the diva that he was, even though he
I don't
always
know what
talked about the team stuff and some other stuff
I
that he
listened to
left.
that whole. You better talk about. I listened to that whole
You
thing. I don't
missed
remember.
it? You
I
missed
don't
it?
remember
Oh,
the Aaron Rodgers part. I was listening.
all right.
I was floored by his Houston comments. I was like, whoa.
I was floored by what happened to him with the Packers. What the Packers said to him. We'll get
That
into
was
that.
awesome.
We'll get in.
I was
I know.
excited
And then
about
what
that.
he did. And then
I was
what he did.
excited about that.
I know. Well, anyway, we'll get into all that. Anyway, okay, all right. So that's the whole thing. Let's see. Whew. David was laughing hard. The other thing I want to point out this week is the Bears did a little fun thing on social media with a little board about, their different players. And Lucas Patrick did one. It's pretty cute. It's like, who do you love? Or who, he said he loves his daughter and his wife. And then what do you want to be when you grow up? And he said Cody Whitehair. Like everybody else is like an astronaut or these other things. He's like, he just wanted to be Cody Whitehair when he grew up. And different stuff like that. So LP doing good, looks good in the Bears uniform. Hopefully he gets a chance to play this year.
He's only 29 years old.
He might only be 29.
On that card, it said age 29.
I think he might be turning. I think he turns 30 during the season. This season, I think.
Okay, because he always looked older than that. But I think he's just the guy who looks like he's older than he is.
Yeah, I mean, he probably when he went to Mr. Brews near mom and dad's house, maybe he wasn't even legal. I don't know. Maybe was that young. I don't know.
I guess I don't know either.
Some of these guys come in the league at 20, right? Zach Tom,
Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark. He's 8th year and he's only 27 years old or whatever he is. Anyway, never mind. All right, you got $40 million from the Packers. David says. David enjoyed your rant. I didn't even hear the part about him. I haven't paid attention to most of the Rodgers follow-up stuff. I just saw that, and I heard Mike Tirico is a little bit on it. And Mike Tirico always believes there's some sort of ulterior conspiracy here. And I don't know if his is right, but there's something. Aaron Rodgers doesn't do anything for the good nature of his heart.
Mike Tirico?
Not Mike Tirico. Mike Florio. Sorry.
Mike Florio,
the only guy. The only thing Aaron Rodgers ever does that seems like it's a good thing from his heart are the things that make him look good. Like when he used to do the "It's Aaron" thing and the pop up, and he'd go visit people and surprise them. Oh, it's Aaron, and he visited some kids and did some other stuff like that.
I'm going to say something though. But I think he actually
all that crap was
for as much as he is a diva, a douchebag, and a jerk face. I think he does do that. Like I think that's legit.
You think it's legit? You don't think it's ulterior just for the show of it?
I think he does actually, because you got to remember back when he won the Super Bowl.
Who does he care about?
There was an interview with his mom,
maybe
somewhere that I saw. Remember?
All right.
And his mom said that after the Super Bowl, Aaron came up to her and said, she said something like, "Oh, you want to be one of the best. You want to be one of the best player in NFL history or whatever." And he was like, "No, I just want to be the best man in NFL history," or something like that. He said.
That's true.
And I think he honestly does want to be a good man. And I just think he's so Looney Tunes from all this ayahuasca and all this crazy stuff, and selfish. And he's always had the chip on his shoulder thing.
Yeah. I mean, did the drafting of Jordan Love really just break him? I don't know. But
obviously he wasn't as secure in his abilities as we thought.
Right.
If drafting a quarterback in the first round turned him into this.
Right. Because if you're that guy and they draft somebody, I mean, big deal. You'd be like, well, whatever. You just Brett Favre him. You're like, well, I'm going to do my thing. Like, you guys can't replace me. I'm too good. Isn't that what the attitude you would take if you're that guy?
So Brett Favre did.
I don't know. Anyway, happy to be done with him, but we'll bring him up with Rasul Douglas's little slip up here as we talk about Rasul Douglas's awesome interview.
I don't know. I don't know what that was.
The interview wasn't that great because it's like Big Play Slay is the host, and it's kind of. But Rasul had some really awesome stories in there, some nuggets and whatever, and it was fun. Let's talk about Packers, because otherwise, they'll watch 20 minutes in, still not talking about Packers. Okay.
Well, we're talking. Yeah, that's true. We're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Current Packers. All right. So, here is the deal. Some interesting things happening at Packers camp. Ben, I watched a bunch of interviews this week, and one thing I hear over and over and over and over and over again is people are having fun.
Yeah.
Guys are having fun. Wow. That's got to be different for anybody that's been there for a few years. Because it wasn't fun. It was always looking over their shoulder about what, Rodgers thought, or what he didn't like, or what they were doing wrong, or what, like whatever. And it's a lot. You hear a lot about people supporting. You hear a lot about guys having fun. It's a young, fun vibe. And Goody in his press conference too said it. He said, "I'm excited for these young wide receivers and the tight ends to grow with Jordan Love." And so that just leads us back to things we've been saying for a long time now. Goody knew it. Everybody, all the people that complained and threw shots and said all the garbage about that they never draft a wide receiver in the first round and they never go get the high price wide receiver and all this sort of stuff. Goody knew it. What's the point? There is no point when Aaron Rodgers was your quarterback, because it wasn't going to work. It was going to take too long to work. It wasn't worth the investment. So you draft guys a little later who are good athletes. Maybe they grow into that because they get time to work with them. And you have some other guys in the meantime. And that's what happened. That's why a bunch of these second round receivers became stars, because they had time to work with Rodgers under some other guys that were there and were established. And it wasn't just until recently where the cupboard was bare and they had to go, everybody's young, let's get him in here. But maybe that was part of the push and pull. Maybe that was part of the Goody strategy to be like, we're finally getting rid of them. I'm drafting these rookies. We're going rookie heavy. These guys are going to play. And it's another way to get him out the door. I don't know. And maybe this was all Rodgers' plan to get out the door, like Mike Florio was saying. But I don't know. Maybe I think they both wanted him out the door, and they both made some moves to help make that happen. But anyway, I hear so much about fun, guys having fun, which I like.
Well, I think it all comes down to when we were at practice or at training camp last year, and we watched the offense in the drills between the offense, number one offense and number one defense. And if the play had anything to go wrong in it at all, Rodgers would just throw the ball in the dirt. Like, he just throw it in the back of his freaking offensive lineman's ass. Like, I don't know how many times he had incomplete passes where just jumped it off. Because, like, a guy got beat, like left tackle got beat, or the right tackle got beat, and he just, like, I remember Ladarius, I can't remember his last name or his first name, Hamilton.
Yeah.
54 had a couple awesome pass rushes on the outside against whoever's playing right tackle at the time. I think it was Rasheed Walker or whoever. And Rodgers just threw the ball on the ground. Didn't extend the play, because it's practice. You can extend the play. He can't touch you. Just extend the play and try to get something to happen. Like, make something, like, okay, that guy lost his rep at right tackle. It happens. But at least now don't take that entire rep away from all the other 22 or 21 guys on the field at the time, right? Let the play extend. Give guys an experience of what happens when the play extends. And he didn't. He didn't the entire time.
That's what practice is for. Practice is for everybody, not just for you. And when that one thing happens, then he was a bit like a little baby.
He was. And the only time
ridiculous
in the team drills, when the team actually moved the ball down the field, was when Jordan Love was out there, and he was throwing to Amari Rodgers of all people to get the ball moving. Of course, he had what's his face, Shamir Jean Charles on him, so of course he got open all the time because that guy stinks. But anyways, it's not surprising.
I know.
And it's also not surprising. It's part. The other thing is this: these guys that are on the team now, right, are kind of the core of the team that have been there since the Jordan Love drafting, since the Aaron Rodgers whininess and spitefulness and vengefulness towards the front office. And because of that, all they've known is the vengeful, spiteful Aaron Rodgers. So when you think of it that way, yeah, They're totally freed. They're freed from all the dirty looks and the I'm not going to throw back to you again and what the hell you doing out there and the dirty looks and the all that kind of crap.
Shots in the
And
media, all that stuff that he'd throw
and the
out.
guys who are veterans who are there are good guys. Like Aaron Jones, for the most part. He still got Bakhtiari. I don't know about him yet, but we'll see. He didn't practice the second day because, got to give him a day off. Can't practice at all second day. Whatever.
Seemed happy in his locker room interview I just watched today, but yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that.
I caught it. He seemed upbeat, happy. He talked a lot about his standard of play being the standard, and he expects to do all that and all this sort of stuff and whatever. But anyway, continue on.
And well, anyways, I'm just saying, but like Preston Smith, Devondre Campbell, even Kenny Clark for the most part, these are all really good guys and good teammates to the younger guys. And they're also all guys who, have only been there really. Well, Preston's, but Devondre Campbell, he's only been there when Aaron Rodgers was kind of vengeful. And that's why even last year, in the middle of the season, he was backing up Jordan Love and saying stuff publicly about how he looks great in practice and all this kind of stuff. He was already, putting the seeds out there. Hey, this guy's ready to go. And this team is ready to go, even if Rodgers can't make it or can't play or whatever the case is. So I think the giant weight lift off everybody's shoulders. Will it work? We don't know. It might fall apart, just be a crapshoot or crap, and they all stink. And, but it's exciting. And I think all the young players hopefully they'll play and not be worried. They can play fast and just go,
as
long as they're doing the right thing. You still got to run the right play, the right route, or block the right guy and all that kind of crap. But at least they know they won't, they'll get the ball thrown their way again, hopefully, if they screw up or whatever.
Yeah, 100%. And they have, like you said, it's a weight lifted, but it's also, a lot, like we've said before on the show, just a lot easier environment to learn in, to grow in, to advance in as a player and get more comfortable in, because you don't have that. You got a very different environment that you're dealing with now. So here's another nugget that came from higher up. So I listened to most of Matt LaFleur's stuff. One thing that I loved is how he re-emphasized how he really loves joint practices, Ben. He loves these joint practices. And there was one guy who didn't like them and was vocal about it right away. So, there's another thing. Matt LaFleur is happy to be able to do joint practices.
That's the other guy who I think is the other reason why everybody's happy is your head coach is finally happy. He's no longer going to be, questioned about every single thing he wants to do and doesn't want to do. So when you have, whenever you're a guy, like, and I'll say this to the day I die, like I've been a leader in different positions. Went back in college in music stuff, and then in work and professionally with, I was a leader of certain groups and, trying to get things accomplished. When you constantly have somebody who questions everything you say, you just are like, why? What are we doing?
Yeah.
Do you want to do this? Do you want to take over then if you're so smart? And then, and after a while, you're fed up with it. And I left the place because I was fed up with somebody questioning every single thing I told them to do. And it was mostly because they were too lazy. They didn't want to do the things that I told them to do. But that's different. That's a whole different thing. But every time they're like, oh, shouldn't we do this? And shouldn't I do this? And I'm like, no, this is the order of priority of what I need to have done. I need this done. So get it done. And then they're like, oh, do it this way? No, we're doing it my way because I know my way works. Your way is the old way. And that's the thing that's, for the longest time, we don't know who was calling the plays, who was running the plays, and were they running the plays they wanted to run. Now, Matt LaFleur made it clear at a press conference that it was his offense the whole time. That's what he said, and he got mad about people saying that it wasn't his offense. Fine, Matt LaFleur. We'll say it was your offense. I think we all know it was not. And I'm hoping to God it wasn't your offense, because you're not going to look too good if that was your offense that we saw the last couple of years. 2019 was a good offense. 2020 was okay, but then it kind of fell off after that.
2020 was just, Rodgers was so motivated that it worked. But then again, it worked for what? For the same end result that we always got with him when they did it his way. That was the point. Yeah, like you know, all of this time, this whole time of the Aaron Rodgers era, not the whole time, but like the last chapter of it, you knew what was going to happen. The offense was going to score quite a bit of points most games, especially against bad teams. And then that would get you so far. And then, but then in the playoffs against good teams, Rodgers would play chicken and he would not make the tough throws he needed to. And he wouldn't step up if they got down, and then they would lose against the good teams. And that was the end result every time of doing it the Aaron Rodgers way. Now, he still looked great during a lot of the season, so he still won a bunch of MVPs. He still had great numbers. He's got the quarterback rating. He's got all the stuff, all the touchdowns, all this stuff. But you still got no more Super Bowls doing it that way. And I don't want to hear the defense wasn't good enough every time, and this wasn't good enough, and that one, because there were games, and we went through them a while ago when it went over playoff things, and actually in the process of looking up those playoff statistics, yes, Aaron Rodgers overall has a great quarterback rating in the playoffs, or did until a couple years ago, but there were some stinkers in there. There were some opportunities where if they just done a little something, if the offense had just done a little something, they could have won. The defense was good enough some of those years. So as a Packer fan, don't be thinking the defense was never good enough.
Well, there also times when the defense sucked. So I'll give people that.
I 100%. I will say that too. And there were more times where the defense was bad and the problem that let them down. But there were some times that the defense did not, and it was him. And it was the way he played, especially in the last couple of playoff runs that we saw. The way he played was the biggest part of the problem.
Well, the last playoff game he played, and he was completely confused the entire game.
Yeah.
The 49ers.
Because
the 49ers.
Rasul let that come out too.
What's that?
I love Rasul. He said all this.
What did he say?
Well,
we shouldn't talk about just Rasul. Talk about the things that matter to the current topic that Rasul said. Don't go over all the things Rasul said at one time in a row.
All right, so we'll go back since we're still on and talk about some Rodgers.
Just talk about what Rasul
this thing about
we'll get done with Rodgers. I'm sick of talking about
why Rodgers stopped reading defenses. He said, he's like, when he was talking about how great Davante Adams was, and that was the only thing I was like, but I understand from the cornerback's perspective saying that Davante Adams is so great because they're not just thinking about guys that can run past you. They're thinking about guys that always get open against you. And Davante Adams could get open, and he had some traits where he could get open consistently on guys because of the way he did stuff. And Rasul Douglas actually is like, oh, he's just so slow. Well, wait, I won't call him slow, but I mean, I'll never say he's slow, but I mean, he plays at his own speed. Like you're never going to speed him up. And then when you start playing slower, then he speeds up and just so he can get a step on you. And like, that's what he does. And that's got to be effective. So Davante Adams is a smart guy. He knows he's slow. So he's like, well, I'm going to go really slow. So I slow them down. And then when I actually run as fast as I can, they're not going to be ready for it. And then I get a step and then I get open. So anyway, that was interesting. But he said, he's like, I watched it. Doesn't matter. They double, triple team Davante Adams. I saw in the Baltimore game, they triple team him and Rodgers just look at him. No, I'm throwing to him. I'm throwing to you. So he stopped. If Davante Adams is triple teamed, what are the other guys going on in pass patterns thinking? They're running free. There's nobody around them. And they're just like, what the hell am I doing out here? Why am I here? Why? What is the point of me being on the field and part of this play? If you're the quarterback and you're just like, nah, I don't care how many guys are on you. I'm just going to throw there. Dumb.
I'm telling you, man, Jets fans better be ready. They better be ready because there's some other things we got to talk about the Nathaniel Hackett stuff too, but we'll do that at the end.
Holy crap.
I don't want to get into Greg's here.
Let me get into we're going to go to Greg in 1 second. One more.
Well, you said next.
Rodgers and the diva part. This is a quick one. Because he's like, we landed, we went on this one thing and, we got on a road game and we landed and A-Rod, there was a helicopter waiting for him. When they're talking about how much money he has, he's like, there's a helicopter waiting for him. He just took off. He just left.
That was Kansas City.
So they went on a road game and he just took off, man. Because he had a helicopter there. Did you ever hear about that stuff? No, we never heard about that stuff. Aaron Rodgers was hanging with the guys and he's a good teammate and he does the this and that and goes on all the road trips and, he's one of the guys. Nah, he was a diva. Anyway, all right. Greg bringing this up. Let's get to you, Greg. Offensive line stuff, because there's been some offensive line stuff. Zach Tom lining up at right tackle in the early going here of training camp. And that's most likely where I think they're going to work. He's been working different spots as Elton Jenkins. I listened to Elton Jenkins' interview today. I listened to Bakhtiari's interview from today.
Oh, I did not. I listened
Elton Jenkins, like, he's not the best interview, but you know what? He seems excited to play football. He seems happy to play with.
Maybe he could actually do run blocking for a while.
Yeah. And they'll know, the offensive line will know whether it's a run or a pass, instead of just like standing up and like waiting to see what the quarterback does. Oh, do I run black? Oh, do I pass? I don't know. I can't be too aggressive.
Job way harder.
Yeah, way harder. Okay. So anyway, Greg brings this up. What if they move Jenkins to center, Zach Tom to left guard, Yash to right tackle, and they figure it out? So apparently Zach Tom has put on some weight. I will say Elton Jenkins looked like he put on some weight too. He looks a little chubbier and a little bigger.
Got a lot of money, so he put on some
poundage. Then I expect him to do some bulldozing now. I expect him to be that kind of tough guy guard that can really move guys around, and the big guys, the big boys inside. We all have concerns about Josh Myers, 100%. We have this whole time, and Yash is good enough to play one of the starting tackle spots, no doubt. I have all the confidence in the world in him. The only concern I have is how many games is David Bakhtiari actually going to be available for? I had a question for tonight.
I wish we'd trade him. I wouldn't have to worry about it then.
Who plays more games at left tackle, David Bakhtiari or Yash this year?
I think Zach Tom's going to play more
at left tackle.
This is what I don't understand. When Yash plays left tackle, he looks like dog crap.
No, not left tackle, right tackle. He looked bad last year for a while.
He looked bad at left tackle too.
He looked good the season before. That's all he played was left tackle, and he played pretty damn well.
Oh, okay. Well, then fine. Then he can play left tackle.
And then they were like, he looks bad at right tackle. They could never figure out, like, well, he was good at left tackle. Why is he bad at right tackle? And it took him like a while to figure out right tackle, and he was pretty good as he got along last year.
I think Zach Tom looked better at left tackle than he did at right tackle too. So I don't know what to say. Yeah,
that's weird.
So
that is weird.
I don't know. Maybe Zach Tom can play both. Let's hope he can. All I know is this: Zach Tom should be starting someplace.
He's going to be starting. There's no question.
And I honestly believe Jenkins. This is the thing, Greg. Why I don't think Jenkins should play center is from Josh Myers' interview from a couple of weeks back, when he said that now he has to call he won't get help from Rodgers when it comes to calling the line adjustments for blocking. He's going to have to actually do it himself now. That scares me, because how many times because everybody gives Jenkins credit for playing center, but was he ever making the calls when he played center? Because a lot of times they kind of just moved him over there to play center for like 2 games or 3 games or whatever it was, right? How much practice and study has Jenkins actually even had at center to do that? I don't think it's gonna. I don't know. I don't know if he knows the calls and all that stuff as much as, Zach Tom, who has been. It seems to me Zach Tom's going to be either center or right tackle. I think they've decided, because he starts at right tackle the first 2 practices. Yes, today was just a walkthrough. I don't really know what they were at that point, but it seems to me like Zach Tom has got, at least they pinpoint him to 2 spots, center and right tackle. Yash, I think, is going to be left tackle, right tackle, backup, number 1, it seems like. And then Jenkins, they're putting him back at left guard where he started back in the day. And Bunyan at right guard, because he can play either guard spot, because he did fairly decent last year. Not the greatest, but he was about the same as he was at left guard, so who cares? But that's the thing. I would say
he's pretty good from
the standpoint, if Greg's looking at how can we get our best 5 guys out there, I think the move is to move. If you're going to do anything, you're going to have to play Bakhtiari, and Yash is going to have to get his crap together to play right tackle, and then put Zach Tom at center. Because who else are you going to put in there at guard? Because even if you know what I mean? I would rather have Zach Tom at center and keep Jenkins keep him at guard where he's a Pro Bowler, than move Jenkins to a spot where he's got to do a lot more thinking than he's used to. He doesn't know all the calls yet. Maybe he hasn't been working on it all offseason. I have no idea. But it seems like they have not practiced him at all there during the offseason. Or even because from Andy Herman and all the guys talk about where they line up and all that stuff. Seems like Jenkins has been left guard every freaking practice.
Yeah.
So I don't think he knows any of the calls and stuff. So I don't think anybody who thinks Jenkins is playing center, I don't think it's happening. I think the backup to center at this point with the number 2s is Jake Hansen, which is bad news. And then Zach Tom's getting third-team refs. I guess.
Scooby-Doo!
Let's have a sneeze take over. So that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
yabba dabba do like that.
if you want to see the best five, that's where I think you just keep everybody where they're at. Just put, if you have to replace Myers because he stinks, put Zach Tom at center, and then Yash will have to get his act together at right tackle. Because the other thing is this: I think they have way more talent at backup tackle between Luke Tenuta, Rasheed Walker, Caleb Jones. I mean, there's three guys right there that are 4, 5, and 6 at tackle who are way better than Royce Newman, Jake Hansen, and Sean Ryan. Like, I would take those other three tackles over those three interior guys any day of the week. You know what I mean?
That's what Goody said too. That, you know, he specifically mentioned those guys. Luke Tenuta, he's like, these guys can play. Yeah. And so
then my question is, why do we have Bakhtiari on the team then?
Exactly.
If you never know if he's good enough to play or practice, and he's always injured all the time, it's after June 1st. The cap hit won't be nearly as bad as it was before June 1st. Just trade him now. Trade him now. Maybe you can get something good for him. Or wait till somebody gets injured. Trade him to the Jets. Who gives a rat's ass?
Yeah, just send them. Right? Just get them all on there.
Honest to God, who cares? Put him with his buddy Aaron Rodgers. He just saved $25 million cap space, even though David Bakhtiari's contract could be like about $2 million on the Jets cap or whatever team he goes to, because it's all in, guaranteed money that's on there for the most part. So, and then let them deal with it, because next year he's got a huge, regular cap hit of like $20 million plus the other $20 million or something in guarantees. So just get him out of here. But anyways, that's all I'm going to say, Greg. I just think because of learning all the play calls with a young quarterback, it just seems like Jenkins has not been working at that position. And I'm wondering how often Aaron Rodgers is the one who is doing the line adjustment calls when Jenkins did play center. And to be quite honest, I don't think Jenkins played center all that great. I mean, he was fine, but I don't think he was amazing.
No.
And I think Zach Tom could play just as good, if not better. And I think Zach Tom seems to be like a super duper duper smart dude who seems to be able to pick up a whole bunch of crap. And I would trust him over Jenkins at this point at center. So that's what I'd say about that.
That's one of the most important parts of playing center is intelligence and awareness. Like those. Yeah. That's why Lucas Patrick was good at it. That's why Lindsley was pretty good at it overall. That's why Scotty Wells was so good. Like because most of the time at center, you don't have a one-on-one block or a guy that you're blocking against, like lined up directly over you. You probably might have a guy on your shoulder, that ends up maybe you got a combo block and you got to come off, but you got to be aware. Like you got to know if there's a stunt coming, you got to see it. You got to see what's happening both directions, right? And you have to be able to adjust and help out where need be, because pressure up the middle is the thing that's going to kill the play the fastest. So, and that's like when I went back and looked at, plays from Lucas Patrick when he got to play center a couple years ago. And this is why the Bears signed him to play center, because that's what he did. Was he an overpowering center? No, but he was always aware and cleaned up the mess all the time and knew chip guys off, made the key play. Like that's the kind of stuff centers have to do. And that's not Josh Myers. Like that's not him. But you invested a second round pick in the guy, and it's interesting to hear that. And that was something that was interesting from the Rasul Douglas interview too, where when he was talking about Matt LaFluer and how he went there, and I have that clip and I wanted to play it. But, he said the Packers are like, we don't do that here, where it doesn't matter. We don't care where you were drafted. We don't care how much money you make. The best guys are going to play. The best guys are going to play is what Matt LaFleur said to him. And, it seems like that hasn't always been the case, especially on the, you draft this guy in the second round or first round. But, I mean, it's time. If Josh Myers isn't cutting it by year 3, it's time to go with somebody else at center. I still think Myers probably starts there. I think Zach Tom is your right tackle. I think, like you said, Yash is a backup. I just think, and then that's probably how it'll play out. And the thing they learned about Jenkins, it was all the other things you said too. He hasn't played there in a while. He's not moving from left guard. They moved him around. It was never very good, despite what people told you. He was not good anywhere else that he played other than left guard. And they're paying him a lot of money to play left guard at a high level. So they're sticking him at left guard. That's where he's going to stay.
Yeah.
That's his spot. That's his
That's
spot.
just those are just things I was thinking of when I saw his question there. But it's not bad. I mean, one of our best 5 guys out there, no doubts.
I would love to have Zach, Tom, and Yash both out there, but I don't think it's if Bakhtiari's in, Yash is probably next guy up. That's how
it's sad. It's sad because you got to think that Josh Myers is the weak link then, and I think Yash would be better than Josh, but that's just not how the offensive line. The one thing I would say is I would like to see them stop this. Everybody knows everything crap, because I think it might be great for like a guy like Lucas who's been in the league for 4 or 5 years, and he's on his second contract, which is where he was with the Packers at the time, and he had to learn a bunch of different positions, and he wasn't like an overpowering physical specimen and all that kind of stuff. But when you have guys who are athletes like Myers is and Yash, I think it's best to just, and they're young guys, give them a spot, have them learn the spot, and really become really good at that spot. You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to keep getting these guys to learn 25 different things? And luckily for us, Zach Tom is smart enough to do it.
Yeah. He's kind of like the only one.
He's the only one. Like, I don't trust anybody else. And I thought it was interesting because they were talking. Remember how they were saying that Sean Ryan was getting center snaps during the OTAs and stuff?
Yeah.
And in the first 2 practices, he was not ever at center. He was only at left guard, backing up Elton Jenkins. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens there, I guess.
Well, all right. A couple more things early on, and this is just stuff we've heard, stuff people have said. A couple other notes.
David, they could trade Bakhtiari for a 2025 first round pick. Okay, David. That's what I was saying.
Defense has
we already got their first round pick next year, as long as he plays.
Defense has been winning the camp periods. Not that surprising. They're doing this new thing where you got to do some push-ups, up, down, some different stuff. You lose a competitive period, so that's kind of fun. Aaron Rodgers never done that. Let's see. Aaron Jones, Ben. Aaron Jones had some stuff. This probably make you like Aaron Jones even more. Did you like how he raved about Josiah DeGuara? And how he was like, just follow 81. Love it when Josiah's in there.
And he laughed. Yeah, he was like, yeah. I don't even know how that question started. I did see I can't remember what the question was.
They just asked him. They were like, well, last year we got to see Josiah in a lot of that fullback role more. He was in the backfield, lead blocking, whatever. And then that let him just talk about how good of a job he does. And then that's why he said, yeah, just follow 81. It leads to good things.
I'm going to talk real quick. I just recently, I have actually all ready to watch on video here with us, but we're not going to do that today. But I recently watched every offensive play of the Kansas City Chiefs game that Jordan Love started. And Josiah missed some blocks. He did not look good in that game. And now the Chiefs were throwing all kinds of crazy stuff at him, but there were a lot of times where he was not as good as he was last year. So he definitely improved between 2021 and 2022. Like last year, he had, and even throughout the season last year. But Aaron Jones is correct. I mean, when you look at the film from last year, DeGuara's, he needs to be on the field at whatever they do with him. If they put him at fullback, second tight end, and move him in motion and help get some blocks, but he can also make plays with the ball in his hands after he catches it too. So, but yeah, that's cool. I mean, I just think everybody is going to get a chance to shine a little bit here and there. Mm-hmm. It also seems like Musgrave has had some issues in blocking.
Yep,
which is the issue. He's missing some blocking assignments.
A lot of people are. He thinks Preston Smith is really good. So I know that is a little concerning.
That's very concerning.
but a lot of people think, and even thought that if Tucker Kraft was going to probably be the regular starting tight end anyway, and Musgrave was going to be more of this like stretch the field pass weapon, which
Musgrave
is fine.
Is with the ones every time.
Well, yeah, but if he's not getting his block, he'll be out. And they'll use him differently. They'll use him to his talents. Yeah, but
he'll be a situational player if he doesn't get his act together.
Right. But the thing about DeGuara that was really impressive last year, because it is difficult to block in space. Because sometimes you got to block a big guy, sometimes you got to block a little guy, sometimes you got to block a medium-sized guy. But you're never on them right away. So there's a lot of area between you before you can get to that block a lot of times. Yeah. And a lot of things can happen. And it's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of people either get too aggressive with it or they're so passive that the guy like overpowers them. So you have to have the right feel and the right touch and the right amount of, physicality, but be under control. That's why blocking in space is so hard. And Josiah DeGuara was awesome at it last year. Like I didn't look at what he did the year before, but last year I certainly noticed him. They used him a lot in it, and he did a fantastic job. And I would expect to see him do at least as well this year. And Aaron Jones loves it. So another thing about Aaron Jones, Ben, a lot of people talking a lot of good things about Aaron Jones, and Matt LaFluer too, saying the type of man he is, the type of person he is, the type of player he is, the type of all the things he is. And I think, could it really happen? Are they going to nominate him for the third year in a row?
I think they should.
I mean,
I think they should. I think this is ridiculous.
I do too.
If they don't,
I do too.
And
that should send a message to the rest of the NFL, like you said, to be like, whoever the hell is voting on this, can you
get your crap right, please? Can you stop screwing around?
Here's the guy right here. The guy's been nominated 3 years in a row. His teammates and everybody, even all the people that have been on this team and left this team, and this is the guy they've been picking. Come on, man.
Yeah.
So hopefully that happens. Anyway, I thought that was pretty cool.
Yep, that was good stuff.
Love Aaron Jones. He's awesome. All right, what else we got here? Rudy Ford right now starting in the safety spot. So that's a good sign. That's a good thing.
2 days in a row. I like I said, I didn't hear what happened today, but yeah. And that's, David, we saw it on the tape last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, to this day, I get so angry when I hear I don't want to crap on Andy Herman again. And I'm not crapping on him. It's just he brings it up every time. He's like, Rudy Ford, and he's like, we're starting Savage and Rudy Ford, two guys who got benched last year. And it's like, Rudy Ford got taken out of the game, and then Savage got put back in the game because Rudy Ford, I don't know if he made a mistake or what happened. It was on a deep play. He kind of jumped the inside route. The ball got thrown over the top of him. But he got back there and made the tackle. And then all of a sudden, Savage was back in for the rest of the game. I can't remember what game that was.
Mm.
But he didn't get benched. They put Savage back in because Savage is a first-round pick and Rudy Ford is a free agent, cheap guy. And that's what happened. He wasn't benched. You can't bench a guy who you can't bench a guy for the guy that you replaced. You know what I'm saying? You can't say that he was benched when they put the guy in his spot who was the spot that he took in the first place, right? That's what I mean by that. So he was not benched. He was replaced by Savage, who he then, Savage was benched and Rudy Ford was put in. But then the very next game after that, Rudy Ford was still back there or something. I don't know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah,
it's good for us. Rudy Ford is fast, aggressive, can tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll be better than Agent Amos in the running game. As much as Agent Amos was a solid guy, there were times where he knew his speed wasn't good enough and he had to kind of react to things, and then he wouldn't commit because he knew that if he committed and he was in the wrong spot, he would be in trouble. So where Rudy Ford, if he commits is in the wrong spot, he's fast enough to get to the right spot. You know what I mean? Like he could, if he sees something that's not right in the running game and he kind of goes to the wrong hole, he could still kind of get over and make a play, or at least stop the guy after 7 yards instead of letting the guy run for 27. Like usually when you saw Agent Amos chasing the running back down because he couldn't because he was too slow and he run right past him. So,
yeah, and it's interesting, like the mindset and the difference there too, in terms of, if Rudy Ford plays aggressively and misses, he can be yanked in a game just like that. Darnell Savage got to play like garbage, and I mean he could have played aggressively and missed, but he just played passively and did nothing.
Right.
And forever, and would get to stay on the field because he was a first-round pick. And that's something that Rasul talked about as well in his thing, and I want to play a little clip of that because I do have it kind of marked. So let's go. I'm gonna have to jump to that one here real quick. Let me go back to Rasul and jump to that one, and then we'll come back to this one if I can find it here to talk about how he got to the Packers. Here's a little bit about what he said about that situation when he got there.
He was like hurt. He was banged up. He was nicked up. So he only played like the first half, I think. and I was guarding AJ. I was on AJ's side most of the game because he kept coming to the offensive right, the defensive left.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I bet. So I had him. So I was doing good with him at jump. And then that last play happened, and I got that pick. And after that, I remember being on the plane ride the next game.
Where you saved the game and won the game?
Came back. And I was like, yeah, like, you know me, I already know how the league works. That's how I'm in my head. That's how I'm thinking. I say, when a guy come back who makes a lot of money than you make, he automatically get his spot back.
Come on,
it don't matter how good you're playing. That's it. That's his spot. So when he came on the plane, I was like, yeah, man, like in practice, like he kept going out there, and I'm like, yo, this his stuff. Like he been since he drafted. Like, I'm gonna take the back road, and then
we'll get to that part, but just think about that. Like that's the situation. These guys come in, like Rasul said when he went to Green Bay, they called him and they were like, because this was after a bunch of dumb teams didn't value him and like we're like, no, see you later, you're out of here. And he even said he went into one of the teams and they said, oh, we got these young guys here, they've been here for a few years, you know, you're not going to get to play. They just told him that straight up. They get him on the team, they're like, nah, these guys been working here, doesn't matter, it doesn't really matter what you do, these guys are going to get to play, so thanks for coming and being a part of the team, but you know, we'll probably cut you anyway. And then the Packers said when they first got him, actually, I'll go back and play that. They had their whole story, which is a little different than that story. But so that's kind of his mindset. But then listen to this. This is where I was like, what? Matt LaFluer for the first time. Well, maybe he did more of these type of things, but listen to this.
Matt pulled up on me like, why you keep doing that? I'm like, I know how the league works. He had to explain like, nah, we don't do that here. Like, the best player is going to play. We don't care about no type of money. So he was like, look, you go out to one, this, your position to lose now. So if you want to give it to him, tell me that now. I could give it to him. But if you don't, you better go out there and take on the rest of the one. And I was like, you ain't got to tell me nothing.
You ain't got to tell me nothing.
I'm going out there. So
that's right. And he went out there and freaking made play after play after play after play after play.
Yep.
And that's why I bought his jersey. Because he's not afraid.
But just the same situation, he could go out and make a mistake and he's done, right? Yeah. He's done. Well, just like he said when he first got to play in the Bears game weeks before that. So he got to play in the Bears game, and then King came back, and then he was back on the bench until that Arizona game that he was just mentioning.
Well, he just said King started the game.
Right.
But then throughout the game, he got more playing time because he was playing better.
Well, he said right in the Bears game a couple weeks before that, there was only one guy on the depth chart left. And I think it was like Innis Gaines or somebody.
No. It was a different guy. I can't remember his name, but he sucked.
Right. Some guy that was terrible.
He was a free agent signing in the offseason, and he played like dog crap in the first quarter. He was just terrible.
And they were like, so they went to him and they were like, he played bad in relief the week before. And so they went to him and said, well, we're probably going to rotate you, but we're going to start him. And if he does well, then he's just going to play. You're not going to get to play. That's what they told him.
Yep.
And then they put the other guy out there. He was terrible. And they're like, all right, get in there, see what you can do. And then that was it. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm not looking back. I'm just going to play.
Tell me again. I'm going to be out there making plays. And sometimes, and I just want to make it real clear, when it comes to Rudy Ford, Keyshawn Nixon, and Rasul Douglas, these three guys in the secondary are very similar in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
One thing is Rudy Ford and Keyshawn Nixon are way, way faster than Rasul Douglas is, which is why it's better, I think, to have them in the middle of the field, because Rasul can really use that sideline to his advantage when he has to cover a guy. He knows this guy's either going past me or inside, so he can kind of play a certain way by using that sideline. And he doesn't have the speed to keep up both ways. Like if he gets fooled, he's fooled, and it's over, right? But when it comes to Keyshawn Nixon and Rudy Ford and Rasul, all three of them, they're willing to take chances. They're willing to go after stuff and make plays. And then when you go back and you watch Charles Woodson and you watch Tremont, he didn't always take his chance, but he understood the offensive plays. Like the big interception he had in the Super Bowl run against Matt Ryan, he knew it was coming. He's like, I know it's coming. They run the same play all the time. It's like he sat there and he's like, he looked at the formation. He looked at everything at the time in the game. He's like, well, they're going to run this play. And he's like, are they really going to run this play? They do this all the time. Are they really going to run this play? And they did. And Tremon's like, okay. And he just picked it off, ran it back for touchdown. And that's something with study and aggressiveness. And you're going to see more plays happen, but you're also going to see him get beat. You're going to see Rudy Ford maybe make a mistake every now and again. Okay? You're going to see Keyshawn Nixon maybe jump a route and maybe make a mistake. Maybe the guy does a double move on him and gets past him. That might happen as a Packer fan. But don't say, oh, that guy stinks. Oh, that guy stinks. Oh, that guy stinks. That's what I'm trying to get at. Like, Rudy Ford made one mistake in that game. They pulled him, which is dumb. Because, like, guys make mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, Jair let frickin' St. Brown get past him twice in that game against the Bears last season. Did he get pulled when he played like crap? When he was taking a chance, he thought that, St. Brown can't beat me on this play. I'm going to jump this route. And then St. Brown did a double move and was way downfield on him, right?
Yep.
It happened to the great Jair Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
He
sure as hell ain't as aggressive as the other three guys are.
No.
So I'm just saying, like, get ready. These three guys are impact players. They're going to make some plays. They're going to make some mistakes, but our defense is going to be good. It's going to be good, especially what Rasul said in his interview at his locker the other day. I like that.
Yeah, I love it too. He said it exactly. He said, now, I don't know why this has to come after the whole season's done. I don't know why you can't make changes during the season with stuff that's not working. But one thing that he did say when they're asking about the defense this year is Rasul said that Joe Barry called a meeting after the season was over. And so he was the one that called it because the people were like, well, did you guys call it? Or did he? No, he called it. He's like, no, Joe called the meeting, but he asked us what we wanted to do. And they all said, the DBs, we want to be up in people's faces and we want to challenge them. We want to be up in their face and we want to challenge them. That's what he said. That's the way they want to play. So now, and again, I don't know why you had to wait the whole season to ask them that. Why didn't you freaking ask them when stuff wasn't working earlier? Beside the point, we're on to 2023. But supposedly, that's the way Joe Barry is going to let them play and coach them to play and call defenses for them to play this upcoming season because they said that's the way they want to play. And that's the way they absolutely should play.
Well, I believe it when I see it on the field.
I will too. I believe it too.
We haven't seen that in any of the years Joe Barry's been here.
And the other D coordinators did it too. Would have guys way backed off on third and 4, and you're 8 yards back. Like no one understands why he would do that. And again, I always bring up the question and ask: are we trying to stop them from scoring a touchdown here? Or are we just trying to stop them from, are we actually trying to stop them from getting the first down? Or are we just trying to make sure they don't get a touchdown in this play? What is the goal of this defensive call?
I'm going to say something.
If it were me, I'd want to stop him and get the ball back. But
one thing I will say, and someone brought, I think it was Andy Herman no, it was actually Peter Bukowski. Holy crap. I'm going to give him a
Peter Bukowski love.
He was talking about the draft picks of the Packers this season on the defensive line. Okay. And the fact that Devontae Wyatt's going to get more plays. Good. And Wooden and who's the other defensive lineman guy they drew? I can't remember what his name was. But, and then also with Van Ness, right?
Yep.
The biggest problem that all the Packer fans complain about with the defense is, of course, they can't stop the run. Last year, they couldn't stop the run. They were 28th or 26th or whatever in stopping the run, or yards per carry last year or whatever it was. They were one of the top teams in third down stopping percentage. But a lot of times, the opposing teams didn't get the third down because they ran the ball so well that they never got the third down. But what he said was, these guys they're drafting and the guys that are playing now aren't big, tough run stoppers. They're penetrators. Colby Wooden is a penetrator. Lucas Van Ness is a penetrator. Devontae Wyatt is a penetrator. He's not a hold up against the double team and stop the run that way. He's a get inside and make a play. And they didn't draft a big guy, right, at D tackle. They weren't big guys to draft. They didn't draft one, like a huge guy who just like a Ford from last year. Jonathan Ford, who's the 390 pound or whatever the crap, humongous monster, right? He's good. I'm sure he'll play during, goal line stand or whatever. But what I'm saying is this: you're having these penetration guys. If you do play man coverage, like tight man coverage, you can't play passive on the defensive line either. It all goes hand in hand. You need your defensive lineman to get in the backfield. either to stop the run or make the running back redirect, or on passing downs, get pressure on the quarterback, which gives your corners, so that if they are playing, tight man coverage or bump and run or up close, by the time they get beat, after 2 or 3 seconds, if they do get beat, then the quarterback's already sacked, or the plays, or he's off his spot, and then the rhythm of the offense is gone because of this penetrating defense. And I thought that was a good point by Peter Bukowski. He was like, hey, these guys that they're drafting are penetrators, and it doesn't make sense based on how they've been playing defense. But now when you hear what Rasul said, how the fact that maybe they're going to let him play more aggressive and maybe let him be more attacking, right? That all works together. That works hand in hand. And it's what we've been asking for years. Don't just sit back and let the opposing team's offense run perfectly so that the quarterback goes back and it's 1, 2, 3. Everybody, you know what I mean? Like all the progressions are there. Everybody's getting a free release off the line of scrimmage. There's no pressure on the quarterback because they're all playing, wait to see what happens and then make a tackle. No, go after them. And they're drafting young guys with the ability to penetrate with quick moves. So this is what I'm going to say about this. There will be more big plays in the running game. It will happen this year, especially because your corners, if you're playing man coverage, your eyes are not on the backfield.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're worried about covering the wide receiver. So if they have an outside run, they can't help in run defense. I mean, they could if they're smart enough to realize that they're, like at the wide receivers, sometimes wide receivers will slack it on running plays. So like if a smart corner realizes, oh, this guy's just slacking it, then he might look back and be able to see the running back coming and make a play.
Sully will probably still do it.
Sully will do that, yeah. But with this penetrating defensive line, that matches up with Rasul saying, hey, we're going to be more aggressive on the outside and be tighter and whatever. Now, you might see the safeties back further or like way back. They might have 2 safeties back a lot and then or something like that, and then force and then have more tricks. Oh, I want to see more tricks. Like when you see guy up front and then more guys back. And then not only that, but penetrate the offensive line at one specific spot. Right? Send 3 guys at 2 offensive linemen and make them make a choice, and then one guy gets through, and then the other guys back up and cover. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We talked about that.
How you do it. What?
Remember some of the game, and they did it a couple of times, but then
they put Kenny Clark all by himself over here.
Right.
And they put like Zedarius and Preston and Rashawn Gary all on the other side in the playoff game that one time.
Yeah.
And it was like Kenny Clark, and then the other 3 guys over here, and the offensive line were like, what do we do? And then 3 guys went and blocked Kenny Clark.
Yeah, because generally, the offensive line is not going to shift to match that, because they're going to expect some stunts coming or something's going to. So they pretty much just go back and hold their spot and block whatever comes to them. That's the way most offensive line protections are if you watch the NFL. So when you overload a side, especially in, if you're not worried about creating a big gap and the quarterback running on you, like you can do that, and you can just totally confuse the offensive line and get instant pressure, like you said, just because you're overloading. And offensive linemen aren't going to be like, oh, we're all shading to the right to go to that, overloaded side. They won't do that in the pass game because they're worried about the stunts coming back or a loop coming back around and then having a big hole in the middle. So it's weird, but damn, it can be effective. And yeah, that's exactly what Kenny Clark, I watched his interview too. And let me just say, Kenny Clark, we say how he's not nearly as good as his contract and he's not that impactful of a player, but I do like him. He's a good dude for sure. Yeah. I appreciate the man he is. And
well, I think he's
a good solid player, but he's just not he's not an impact player.
He's a good player within about 5 yards of where he starts to play because he's so slow he can't get to. Yeah. And somebody was bringing it up about, I think it was Andy Herman was talking about Devontae Wyatt, who he lined up a defensive end
super fast
on a play where like they leave him alone and he has to make a choice. He has to hold his edge on a fake, whether it's a run or a quarterback sneak or whatever. He has to wait, and then the running back gets the ball. And Wyatt comes from the other side of the field and runs all the way across and makes tackle in practice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's cruising. He's so fast. Where Kenny Clark is not that at all.
Right.
So, but that's another thing that's interesting. And then Wyatt's here is commenting again. Nice to hear about you, Wyatt, there. I see you, bro. Talk about like Devontae Wyatt. He's saying, hey, offensive linemen are taught that on defense, the defense will not leave a gap. Well, what happens if we do leave a gap? Who gives a crap? Maybe we put both linebackers in that same gap. Or we leave that gap, adjust, and then one of the linebackers shoots the gap.
If it's if you're playing Kirko Cousins or Jared Goff, I would leave
any of those
gaps all.
quarterbacks
Who
who can't run.
cares?
Oh yeah, screw it.
Now Justin
Well,
Fields,
I don't know about
I'd cover all your
just-
gaps, but
Yeah,
because that's the only thing Justin Fields can do is run.
you can't penetrate against Justin Fields because he will make you look stupid. So you have to play everybody differently, and that's a good point, Jace.
Yeah.
But the other thing I'll say is when you go back and if you watch the Jets game, Packers against the Jets last year, that's all the Jets did. They had guys who would one of them would just run all the way. He'd start at defensive end, and he would just plow into the offensive line and just run them all the way over, and then they would do a stunt, and Rodgers would get creamed.
Yep.
Because the right tackle is whoever it was. I can't remember who's at right tackle, but he'd have to take the guy and go with them while he's getting plowed, and then this defensive end is plowing him into the right guard and then into the center, and they're all screwed up. And then that D tackle is looping around, and Rodgers got creamed, or the running back got creamed. And you're like, wait a minute, the defensive end got no credit for that, by the way, whoever that defensive end was.
Right. Yeah.
And one guy in the Jets who makes the big money, defensive tackle, who everybody loves, Williams or something, right? Everybody talks about him, how awesome he is. Well, there's a bunch of unselfish defensive linemen who made him look amazing last year, who would just take out like 2 or 3 offensive linemen on a stunt, and so he could loop around and go crazy. Now, that guy's super athletic, so, like that's Devontae Wyatt. Yeah. Like sometimes that's what you should do with Devontae Wyatt.
Right.
Have TJ Slayton take out 2 dudes and Devontae Wyatt loop around and go crazy. That sounds awesome.
Or line up Kenny Clark in that spot. He's strong enough that he could like plow into some people and then let a fast guy loop around like Luke Van Ness or Wyatt, like 100%. That could work. It's out. The thing is, this is all possible with this team. And what that would do is create consistent pressure from different spots where nobody knows where it's coming from all the time. You can't just plan on it. It's not predictable. And you mirror that and you match that with more aggressive defensive back play and slowing down the pass patterns. And this could be a dominant shutdown defense. 100%.
Yes, but the only problem is you're really counting on your safeties to not do something stupid.
Right.
Because what will happen when you do those crazy stunts is sometimes you'll guess wrong.
Yep.
And there'll be a big play, and maybe the running back gets to the second level, and the linebacker was getting run off by a tight end or something, and now it's up to Savage to make a tackle on a running back. So there are all things that could lead to problems, yes. But I would rather take a defense that's being aggressive and attacking and doing crazy stuff any day of the week and forcing the offense to adjust. Mm-hmm. If you just let the offense do what it wants, it's like playing routes on air, like they talk about, right? Oh, this guy looked great again, routes on air. Well, that's pretty much the Packers' defense is routes on air the whole game when they step back and do nothing. You just let them get it. You just let them do whatever you want.
There is nothing worse. I mean, I don't know. For me, watching games over the last several years, I think most people are probably feeling the same way. But I would have much rather seen somebody get burnt and give up a big play and, okay, let's get the ball back and see what we can do versus that, where you just sit back and you're playing so safe all the time. And it's like these 10, 12 play drives that last forever, that suck the life out of the game, that suck the life out of your defense, and that then you still give up points anyway. What the hell is the point? Be aggressive. Try to force some mistakes. I mean, there's no other way to play defense except in certain situations where you got a big lead and it's late in the game and they can't get you, or at the end of a half. Like, yes, 100%. I'm not saying you blitz when there's 2 seconds left in the half and you give a big play. But like the majority of the game,
or you play mad coverage with Kevin King on a fast white guy. Yeah, you don't want everyone to do that when there's 1 second left in the game.
Which I forgot to give Andy Herman credit for that one when he was talking about the coaching decisions that were bad, and that was an egregious one where they signed Tramon Williams right before that game and then didn't
never played him. Yeah,
dumb,
stupid.
That Tramon, the Baltimore Ravens season ending that year was a gift to the freaking Packers. Where they got a guy that was good, who knew what the hell he was doing, who you could have stuck in there instead of Kevin King, who would have never given up that last second. Because Tramon would have been like, hell no, I'm backing way off. Nobody's getting behind me. Yeah. And that was a coaching decision. Dumb. 100%
That's the other thing
dumb.
that bothers me. So, like, I've heard a lot of people talking smack about Goody after I brought up earlier about since Rodgers took that pay cut, and everybody's like, oh, he's trying to make Joe Douglas look like a genius and Goody look like the moron that he is because he's a moron. And I'm like, Goody's made a lot of freaking good moves. Bringing Tramon back was one of them. And the coaches screwed it up. Yeah. The coaches screwed it up. And if Jordan Love comes out and looks halfway decent, drafting Jordan Love when he did was a good move too. Because Aaron Rodgers' last game in 2019, when he played the Lions, was his worst freaking game in the history of all time. He was off the entire game. He had 19 off-target throws in that game. 19.
Yuck.
Which was terrible. And then they lost to the 49ers, where they couldn't stop anybody because they had Zedarius who, of course, didn't show up apparently or whatever. But anyways.
He's had a lot of off-target throws against the Lions. Why is that?
Because the Lions are Aaron Rodgers' bugaboo. That's the only team where Brett Favre is. They showed every team's quarterback who's got the most touchdowns against them. I saw something on Facebook where they showed all the, whatever. And, of course, the Vikings, Aaron Rodgers got the most touchdowns against them. Aaron Rodgers has the most touchdowns against the Bears.
He owns the Bears, yeah.
But Brett Favre's got the most touchdowns against the Lions. Might be because he played a couple years with the Vikings too, but still. He's got Aaron Rodgers beat against the Lions. Because Rodgers, he has one good play against the Lions, and that was the hail Rodgers to Rodgers play. Otherwise, he stinks against the Lions. He gets his head knocked out. He got knocked out one game, and Matt Flynn looked great against the Lions.
That's true. Tried to throw that touchdown pass to Bakhtiari last year. That was 5 yards short.
He tried to throw a no-look. He tried to throw a no-look pass to Robert Tonyan when there's two freaking defenders there, and of course that got picked off.
Bounced it off a guy's helmet instead of handing the ball off to the A.J. Dillon.
And then Elton Jenkins got pissed.
Elton Jenkins was pissed. Holy shit. And he's not pissed now. He's excited.
Oh, he's happy.
All right. Well, we got a few more things with Rasul's interview. If you didn't see it, so he went on with Big Play Slay. We're giving you some of it. If you want to go back and watch all of it, there's more good stuff in there. But I'm going to share a couple more things with you real quick. Here's something about his when he came to Green Bay. This is kind of how it went down for him. So just listen to this a little bit.
And got up out of there. So it would work good for me. I got to Green Bay, and Matt, he just got on the phone. He was like, look, man, we just want you to come here and get a credit season. Like, that was basically like his expectation of me. Like, come here, play 3 games on the active roster. Like, we're probably going to let you go, basically, probably, because.
So that was the pitch. Come to Green Bay. We need you because we're down so much on corners, but just come get a credited season, play 3 games on the active roster, and we're probably going to cut you. That's what he was told. The guy who then did what he did in 2021 and freaking played awesome again last year, too. That guy. That was his introduction to Green Bay.
Well, I don't think that anybody knew what he was going to be able to do. It's always great when you see a guy who gets a chance and he leaves nothing to the imagination. Like, you know what I mean? Or he just takes it and he goes 100%, just goes. So like Aaron Jones, right? Whenever Aaron Jones got a chance to play, he went for it. In 2019, Matt LaFleur gave him the ball and he scored 19 damn touchdowns that year, right? We all knew there was something there, or we saw it, but we weren't sure. Donald Driver, he had no chance. Is he going to do something? Zach Tom, he was the second offensive lineman drafted last year. Yet he's the one who comes in and makes great plays and was awesome. So, that's why I love Rasul Douglas. Everybody knows. Come on.
Well, also he's a good player.
Well,
he makes plays. He he plays great as well. Like, he's a really good player, and he's an awesome dude. He's been through all this crap. Aaron Jones mentioned it as well. They were talking to him about the Packers, people being down on them and, whatever. And, underdog and doubting the Packers. And he's like, it's not anything different for me. I've been doubting my whole life.
Yeah.
And I just keep doing my thing. And it's just insane. Also, he was number 64 on the NFL 100 this year.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jets on there, by the way.
It's like...
Zedarius Smith made the list.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, he was in the 90 something.
Oh, my God. Ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I'm done with the NFL 100, top 100, whatever. I used to think it was a little more legit than like the Pro Bowl and stuff because it was actually players voting, but it's obvious a lot of the players are they vote for their friends or they're dumb. Aaron Jones should be in the top 10.
That's fair.
Aaron Jones gets no respect. It's honestly ridiculous.
Not at all. It's totally ridiculous.
And like the sound bites, and I watched Aaron Jones the thing, and like the sound bites are like Keyshawn Nixon and Eric Kendricks, and that's about it.
For Aaron Jones? That's it?
Yeah. Those are the only 2 guys talking about Aaron Jones, besides Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, of course, is talking about himself, too.
That's ridiculous.
Because Aaron Jones always votes himself number 1, so that's why he gets on there. And he should. I would vote myself number one. Rasul Douglas should vote himself number one. If you don't vote yourself number one, then what confidence do you have in yourself?
Well, I probably still wouldn't vote myself number one, but
I do.
Those guys,
I'd vote myself
those guys
number one.
could. Now, here's a couple things. Apparently, some of the fun stuff that came out. There's some other good stuff in the interview with Rasul. He gave us some things.
I want to bring up one thing real quick about Rasul.
Oh, okay, because I did. All right,
He said that when he went to Houston, he was with Houston for 2 days.
Oh yeah, talk about his other travels. Yeah.
This is a very I'm surprised that this is not getting more reaction.
Right.
He said he went and met with not with the coaches, but with the GM or somebody with the team, and they told him, "We're not trying to win here. So if you're gonna try, get out of here."
Yeah.
Pretty much. And he's like, "Well, I'm trying," and they're like, "Okay, well, we're gonna let you go." So they let him go after 2 days. Because in practice, he's working too hard. They're like, "No, we're not trying to win. We just signed Christian Kirksey. Trust me, we don't want to win." That was okay. That was mean. That was mean.
Aw, he's a nice guy.
But if I was David Culley, I think that was his name, the guy that they signed for that year. This would have been 2021 season, right? Then they signed David Culley. He was like a special teams coach for the Ravens or something, and he got the head coaching job with Houston. Apparently, the GM. And that was when they signed all these like middling veterans to start, like Christian Kirksey type guys, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Who were played like crap for the Packers the year before. Not crap, but I mean, they weren't going anywhere, right? They're not players that are like impactful. They're good veterans, but he had an entire team of just solid veterans. There's like no playmakers on the team. And Rasul showed up and practiced hard for 2 days, and then they cut him because they're like, "We're not trying to win here. Get out of here. Stop doing that." And he's like, "You're making our guys better by practicing hard," pretty much is what had happened. So if I was Dave, I was an African-American coach who finally got a chance. He was in his 60s, been in the league for years. And now you find out that one of the players that they signed on that team was told, "We're not trying to win here. We're going to let you go because you were trying too hard," pretty much. I mean, David Culley should be pissed.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's probably what they were doing last year, too. And why Lovie Smith was like, "F you, we're going to win the last game, so you guys don't get the first pick." Because Lovie Smith was like, "Wait a minute, what am I doing here? I thought you were giving me a legit chance." They're like, No, I'm not giving you a legit chance. And he's like, "Okay, well, we're going to win the last game, just so you guys don't get the first pick." And that's what he did.
With my Santa beard.
So I thought that was kind
of... And then he said, so he was with the Raiders for like a very short period of time. All these bad teams that didn't think he was good enough. Sorry, Rick. And then when he went to Arizona, he talked about what they were doing too. There's something in there. He said it was just a joke. He's like, these guys didn't want to work, no pads, they didn't do anything else. They were telling the defensive backs to just automatically jump short routes. He's like, "Yeah, you're gonna jump this, so then we can throw it over the top behind you." And he was just saying to him, he's like, "No one's gonna do that in the game. No one's gonna in this situation. No one will do that. So why do you?" He's like, "Because then it'll look good in practice. Like you jump the route and get yourself out of the way, and then we'll just throw it over the top of you." And he's like, "Why would I do that? No one's gonna do it." That's what they were telling him to do. He's like, it was ridiculous.
It explains a lot why Cliff Kingsbury got canned. It's obvious that I'm telling you, bringing guys up from the college ranks is a lot. I would still take a guy like Matt LaFleur or all these other guys who are been in the NFL coaching for 5-6 years before I would take a college coach who's been successful with his crazy play calling and stuff. Because he just doesn't have the defensive connections. You know what I mean? Unless you already have an established defensive coordinator who's really awesome and he's willing to stay and you give him good money to stay, and then you sign this crazy offensive genius from college, fine. And then he doesn't touch the defense and doesn't tell the defense what to do at all in practice or whatever, you know what I mean? But here's stuff like that. That's just stupid. Why would you do that? You're not teaching your defense anything, and you're also giving your offense false hope. Or like expectations, like something's good's going to happen out of this. And it's just, the other thing is when you watch, I can remember watching Chris Sims' podcast, and he would show the route tree of DeAndre Hopkins. And like, he never left this side of the field ever. Like he was always on the left side of the field, and he would only run like bunny routes, slants and stuff like whatever they call. They never called any routes, like crossing routes. He never did a crossing route. It was all just comebacks, outs, ins, stuff like that. Like whatever this Cliff Kingsbury offense was, there wasn't much going on. So the Cardinals had a major issue that went beyond the fact that their quarterback was, playing video games all the time or whatever. So, yikes. And that's probably why they hired a defensive coach. Maybe, I don't know, because they did hire the Gannon guy from the Eagles.
So the Packers fell into getting this guy after all these dumb teams didn't want it, a guy who tried hard or somebody that was actually good or wanted him to do
crazy.
dumb.
and it makes you so happy that we're Packer fans and not Cardinals and Texans and all these other dumb teams that suck. And you wonder why these teams are always crappy every year. Well, it's obvious. They don't want to win, or they don't know how to win, or they're just trying to look good. I don't know. This is just craziness.
It is wild. Hey, David and Lee are talking about Keyshawn Nixon, so we'll go to him before we go to the last two bits with Rasul. And so, like, Keyshawn Nixon playing more. They talk about they're using him on offense too, working him. They like him there. There's all kinds of stuff going on with Keyshawn Nixon. Ben, Lee's saying here that he hopes Keyshawn Nixon has an insane year. The guy deserves it. What if he does have an insane year? Then what? I don't know. What do they do?
What would you do if, let's say, Rudy Ford plays great, Keyshawn Nixon plays great, John Runyon has a Pro Bowl season, and you could sign back those three players or one Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
Who's been injured and
yep.
I mean, I don't know. These are things that Goody has to figure out, right? Because one Rashawn Gary is going to cost the same as because those guys, if they all have good seasons, John Runyon, who is pretty much it'd be a 4-year starter in his career. His rookie year he didn't start as much, but every other year he's been starting all year long. That's valuable. Like somebody's going to give him some money at guard. And then Rudy Ford, if he comes out and gets a bunch of picks again like he did last year and just makes plays all over the place, and then Keyshawn is a return man and a great nickel back, they're all going to need money. And I don't know. It's a head scratcher to me. I mean, I know what I would do. What I would do. You just drafted Lucas Van Ness.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. If he looks halfway decent, you got JJ and Agbari. I don't know. Maybe Rashawn Gary doesn't get the contract extension, which is sad. Because he never really got to play much, like about a year and a half worth of snaps in his 4 years so far. But that money would be way better to use it on those other three guys.
100%. Right away, I'd look at Bakhtiari's situation, his contract, and I would look at that big one there too. You just cleared yourself of a big, huge financial problem with the quarterback right now. That being said, if Jordan Love plays well, he's going to have to get paid in a couple of years. And probably you'll have to do the contract next year.
Justin Herbert just got a $256 or whatever $1 million contract for
massive
5 years or whatever it was.
Yeah. So, you got to look at all of it as the GM. And I just think signing 3 valuable pieces that cover all those spots is just way more valuable than shelling out the dough to one guy. Especially like we've talked before. He's basically shown it for one season and a couple games.
But the other thing is like the David Bakhtiari factor of it, right?
Yeah.
If you sign one guy, or you could have signed 3 guys, if one of those 3 guys gets hurt, you still have the other 2 guys on the field the whole time.
Right.
But if all that money goes to just Gary, and he doesn't come back as the same player, that could happen too with his injury. Or if he gets hurt again or whatever, you just lost all that money off of one guy, which is what we did with Dave Bakhtiari. We gave him a huge contract, hasn't played at all hardly during all these years he's been under contract. And it was the same thing where, like, we were able to sign back Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas and Aaron Jones. Or no, maybe not Aaron. Maybe Aaron Jones was the year before. But at least Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas when we traded away Devontae Adams, because it was one or the other. It was Devontae Adams or those 2 good defensive players for extended contracts. And I'm not like I'm still not a whole total backer of Devondre Campbell, but Mom said that he was injured, or he said he was injured last year a lot of the time. Didn't say anything about it. That's fine. That's whatever. I don't know. I don't think he's as good as everybody thinks he was. He should have never made the All-Pro season that year, but Aaron Rodgers won an MVP somehow one year when Tom Brady should have won it. Whatever. So that's fine. But like, as a GM, you got to make those calls. And the other thing is you look at your roster and the guys you have on your team now. On your team now, you have defensive linemen all over the place. Right now, the backup nickelback is Ennis Gaines, who is the 7th string safety, who doesn't play any snaps at safety, by the way, during team periods. He only plays nickelback spot. So that's your backup nickelback. So if you don't sign back Keyshawn Nixon, because it sure as heck is a Jamal or Jean Charles, that guy stinks. So he's 3rd string nickelback. And plus, I think this is his 3rd year already. Like, he's only got one more year on him, right? Or maybe this is his last year. I don't know. He's been around for quite a few years now. But you look at what you have on your team, and it would be way more valuable to get back a safety who, guess what? Darnell Savage probably won't be on this team next year.
Right.
And a lot of these other guys on the team right now are on 1-year deals. So if Rudy Ford comes out and plays great, you got to sign him. You got no other safety on the team.
And you can probably get him, for a reasonable price. Like those wouldn't be top of the market contracts because these are all guys who came from nothing and they're proving it. And and they will value that too. Like they're going to try to get some money and a decent contract, but they don't have the high draft status. They don't have, the other stuff the other juice to really push them to top market. So like you said, you can sign. It's about building a strong team, and overall, Goody has done that with a lot of his draft selections in the last few years, especially who are on rookie contracts yet. But now some of those guys got to get paid, or some of them you got to move on from, and you have to make the right choices to sustain, and you can't lean on superstar quarterback to still win you 10 games or help you win 10 games at this point. Maybe Jordan Love becomes that. I don't know. But I would rather see a strong team that has a chance to, if they get really good quarterback play, win a Super Bowl again versus a weak team that, has a stud quarterback or, amazing quarterback for a few years so you win some games, but you don't win it all.
Well, I just think it's an interesting choice. And
yeah,
I personally would take the 3 solid to good players over the one possibly awesome player who hasn't really proven it to me yet, and also is going to want big bang bucks. He was a 1st-round pick. That's the other thing. You tell me Goody's going to take both of the 1st-round picks from that season and not have him back on the team after this year?
That would be eating some
There's
pride.
No way he would do that. It's probably, here's what's going to happen. Rudy Ford and Keyshawn Nixon are going to look awesome, and John Runyon's going to make the Pro Bowl. And they're all going to be somewhere else next year. A.J. Dillon? Well, running backs aren't getting paid, so he might take less money to stay just because they don't know nobody's going to offer him jack squat. I don't know. But you could add A.J. Dillon's contract in there, too. Probably all 4 of those guys would be the same as what it would pay Rashawn Gary. A pass rusher who people think is amazing for some reason. It's a Kenny Clark problem. It's he's better than Nick Perry, but it's the Nick Perry problem.
Yeah.
The Packers had nobody besides Clay Matthews and Nick Perry, so they were forced to sign him back to a big contract deal. The difference is with Rashawn Gary there, they still have Lucas Van Ness, J.J. Enigbari, and some guys who could maybe at least 2 starters there, right?
Yeah, they got some guys.
As opposed to the year when Nick Perry got paid where they had nothing. They had Clay Matthews and nobody. And
Andy Malumba and
whoever these guys. Yeah,
Somebody
Aaron
else,
Rodgers' buddy, Andy Malumba. Yeah, that's right. I remember Aaron Rodgers loved that guy for some reason. It was his favorite guy. Anyways, so I just think it's interesting. I really hope. We all hope those guys play awesome. But I don't know if they'll stay, David, because money, man. Just like today. What happened today? Jonathan Garvin.
Oh.
Today, Jonathan Garvin was told, "Happy birthday, Jonathan Garvin," because of course it's the PR team. So they look at the beginning they come in at 9:00 in the morning and they see, "Oh, hey, look at here, we got a birthday today. Oh, Jonathan Garvin's birthday. Oh, tweet that out, everybody." So the Packer PR guys tweet out, "Jonathan Garvin, happy birthday," and hey, "Oh, Butter, what's up, bro?" And they tweeted, "Happy birthday, Jonathan Garvin," and then like 5 hours later that he got cut today on his birthday.
Yep, that's sad, but deserved. I mean, come on, what has he done?
Oh,
He's a 7th round.
I don't
pick.
know if you deserve to get cut on your birthday, but
whatever. I mean,
I wasn't surprised.
Right. He's not. He shouldn't make the team this year.
In any preseason game we watched him play, or in the practices that we've seen,
and he's gotten playing time, Ben. He's gotten
playing time over guys he shouldn't have.
Yeah, exactly.
Hamilton played better than him in all the practices and the preseason games that we watched, yet he never got to play. And I don't get it, because Garvin doesn't hold up against the run, doesn't get pressure on the quarterback. He's not a great tackler, and he's slow. It made no sense. Like, I don't know why he got so many chances. Like I just said to Mom tweeted this out or texted it to us all, and I wasn't trying to be a jerk. I was just saying, I don't know why he's on the team right now in the first place. Like, he should have never even been in there. He hasn't been to off-season workouts the last 2 years. Like, show some commitment to the team if you want to make it. And then apparently on week 1, everybody's like, "Oh, Jonathan Garvin's lined up at defensive tackle or defensive end." I mean, they moved to the defensive line because they told him, they're like, "Listen, you can't make we have too many guys with Cox, that undrafted rookie, and Van Ness and JJ and Igbari." And like, that's the thing, is like, even the Rashawn Gary thing, they've got depth at defensive outside pass rusher, outside linebacker right now that they've never had for as long as I can remember. I mean, that was the reason why they had to sign both Preston and Za'Darius, because they had nothing, and they had to draft Gary because they had nobody. They had no depth. They had no nothing. They let Clay Matthews do it all, and then they cut Clay Matthews or didn't sign him back, and then they were forced to go and grab everybody they could. So but that's the type of thing that happens, which is why if they don't have loyalty to anybody, and the players shouldn't have loyalty to them either. The players should be looking for as much money as they want. That's why this whole Aaron Rodgers $35 million pay cut thing, it's got nothing to do with his loyalty to the Jets or him trying to help the Jets. It's all about him making the Packers look bad, and that's the bottom line. He doesn't care. He wants the money. That's what he did when he was here the whole time. There's only one guy who takes less money to stay, or two: Randall Cobb and Aaron Jones. That's it. That's it.
Randall Cobb.
So, but that's just the kind of thing we're talking about, right? The guy gets cut on his birthday. So if you think the Packers they'll cut a guy on his birthday, they'll certainly not sign back 2 players that played great that should be signed back, because they feel the pride of they have to sign back Rashawn Gary to a big fat contract, their first round draft pick. We'll have to sign him back. And then all of a sudden, guess what? You got all your money piled into like 3 dudes. Yeah. And then you got like scrubs coming off undrafted rookies playing all over. It's just, then you look like the Rams. You look like the Rams, where a cup goes down and your quarterback goes down, and then you're just crap. You got nothing on offense. You can't do anything, right? And on defense, Jalen Ramsey his play slides a little bit, and Aaron Donald kind of gets injured, doesn't play for a couple games. You can't win because all your money is tied into these superstar players, and the rest of your team is a bunch of scrubs, or not scrubs, but just guys who, they're okay. But you tied all your money into these 3-4 guys. Like, I don't know, Jair Alexander, Aaron Rodgers, David Bakhtiari. I mean, that's what the Packers did. And you wonder why they couldn't win games, and they were still forcing money into the future. That's why it bothers me so much when they're like, "Oh, if Aaron Rodgers would have taken less money, they wouldn't. Packers would never have used it." The Packers were up to the salary cap all the last 4 years, as high as they could get to. They were just under the salary cap, and they were forcing money in the future to get under the salary cap. So these dumb fans that are like, "Oh, if Aaron Rodgers would have taken that pay cut with the Packers would never use that extra money." Yeah, they would have, you dumbasses, because they did. They used all the extra money they could. They took extra money from years in the future that are going to cost this team, Jordan Love's team, for the next 2 years to suffer, because they're paying Aaron Rodgers $40 million this year. They're going to be paying Dave Bakhtiari $40 million next year when they trade him, because he won't be on the team.
Jeez. It's great. It is crazy.
What other notes you got?
There's a couple of little nuggies from Rasul's interview. Now, apparently something he's good at, which maybe like him even more, I think, is he likes a little trash talking. So, and again, big play slate. They didn't even play together. They were in like one training camp together, I think. Yeah. And then Rasul got bounced off, to a different team or whatever. But he made an impression. So this is one thing they talk about. He likes to trash talk.
Rasul was a cool dude, like Rasul cool, but you be talking so much shit. So why you such a humble guy, but you talk so much shit between the line of scrimmage? Like, you the total opposite to me. Like, I'm a humble guy. We both humble, but I don't talk no shit. But you, oh my God. So it's like you don't hit a nest of it. You never hit an answer. You don't. I'm talking about. It don't matter if you done got beat, done got whatever. You come to the sideline, you talking shit. So what makes you what makes you like that? It makes the game funny.
I don't even know. I just like it. You know what I'm saying? And if you be saying like funny stuff to you, so you just be like, I bet, like I don't care. Like, cause my thing is, I ain't gonna say nothing disrespectful. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you ain't never disrespectful.
I don't play about kids, wives, mothers, fathers. I don't do all that. I just say something funny about you, but like, man, you trash. I don't want to hear that. Like, I'm talking you trash, and I just like talking to the coaches and stuff like that. But that time just make the game fun. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, you just be sitting there and everybody just playing a game. It ain't no passing, ain't no talking. It's like, bro, what we doing here, bro?
So he likes to talk trash. Good.
As long as he backs it up, I don't have a problem. Yeah. He even says he's talking. Slay said he even talks trash when he gets beat.
Yeah.
What is that?
I don't know. He just likes to talk.
That's weird. Like I can see. Talk. You think after you get beat, you might be quiet. I guess he got beat by a great pass yesterday in the red zone drill.
A little bit, tiny bit by Jordan Love and
to Christian Watson.
Yeah,
and Rasul was mad. I guess he was kicking trash cans and throwing stuff around. But Christian Watson said after at his locker, he was like, yeah, I mean, if that ball would have been thrown like 1/8 of a second earlier or 1/8 of a second later, it would have been broken up. It was just like the perfect pass. Rasul was right there. He played great on me, but hey, we got him beat. He's just got to calm down a little bit. Something like that. But he was pissed because he had perfect coverage. Like, what are the chances? Well, hey, maybe we got a quarterback who can drill it in there. And we got a receiver who has had some issues catching the ball, but apparently he caught that laser beam. So
there you have it.
That's good news.
One drawback for Rasul, and I gotta give him a hard time for this. Apparently he likes to play basketball, and he self-proclaimed himself as one of the top 5 basketball players in the NFL. So he is one of the current NFL players. He is a top 5. He didn't want to put an order on him, whatever. But they asked him about who's the smoothest NBA player, and not like current, but like he could use anyone. And he was going on about Joe Johnson, which I'm just thinking now maybe he's too young, right? Did he? Because clearly the smoothest NBA player I've ever seen is former Buck and great Ray Allen. Like that dude was as smooth as it gets. So if Rasul,
when even your dunks are smooth, that means you're smooth. Ray had the ability to make dunks look graceful. Like I always said Ray was like, he was the only player I ever saw when he dunked, he still was going up.
Right.
Like Ray's dunks, he would just be like gliding up. No matter where he took off from. He never came down until after the ball went in. Then he came down. Like other guys would go like up and then slam it, where Ray was just like, whoop, and it wasn't he never slammed it really. He just would kind of like be whoop, and like just smooth dog dunking, and of course his 3-pointers smooth and his super jump. Because he always jumps super high on his threes, which is puts a lot of once you lose your legs, then you could be in trouble. Yeah. Some guys barely leave the floor when they shoot threes, but he jumped super high.
Yeah, and he did that all the way at the end of his career when he was just, a spot-up shooter for teams late in his career. But like people who don't remember him the early years with Milwaukee, I mean, he was so smooth, all the stuff he did, and then even his time in Seattle when he was like a primary scorer, and when he had to take a little bit of a backseat on Boston, except when they needed him in the finals, and he took over those games, and he was awesome in the NBA Finals that year, and actually should have been the MVP, but whatever. Paul Pierce got a lot more shots than him and scored a few more points, and so they freaked out, even though Ray was the reason they won that. All right, but Rasul was spot on with his last thing that he got asked about, and that was this bit. So he was a little off on the smoothest player in the NBA that he's ever seen, but he was spot on about this. So let's hear about this little nugget here.
He really do. He's smooth. Hey, so my last question for you, man. Come on now. I saw you talking about the chocolate chip cookies, man. This past week, too.
Johnson, why are you naked?
Oh, not that.
Naked.
Look at Gibson. He's wearing a true classic.
True classic. All right.
I'm taking sugar cookies over chocolate chip cookies any given day.
No.
Hell no.
That's
Hell
right.
no.
That's right, Rasul.
Sugar cookies do be hitting, though.
Come on, bro.
They
stop
do,
playing
bro.
with sugar cookies. Stop playing with sugar cookies.
It's something about the chocolate when it's melting a little bit
That's right.
It do it it never misses. And you can't eat a sugar cookie with nothing. You got to eat that regular. I could dip a chocolate chip cookie and milk, and you feel me, and turn it up a little bit extra if I'm trying to go that route. Or I can just eat it regular and it's still gonna be fine.
So he got that one right too. I'll give him that.
I'll say this. After that whole entire interview, then they ended with chocolate chip cookies, and I was like, and he seemed more excited about chocolate chip cookies.
He's like, ooh, I'd be hitting.
And I'll tell you, that's cool. I mean, he's just because a lot of times you see these guys and you don't know what they're like. You know what I mean? I mean, you see their interviews, and Rasul's, to me, he looks like he's a tough guy. Like you know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would want to mess with him. Like, he seems like he'd smack you around a little bit.
He grew up in Jersey, man. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, he seems like a tough dude. And then the end of the episode, talking about chocolate chip cookies. Hey, you see a little sweeter side of Rasul, and that's kind of cool.
And he's right. Chocolate chip over sugar cookies any day of the week.
Well, I take peanut butter cookies any day of the week.
Well, yeah, that's fine. But like,
sure, I'm a peanut butter cookie guy.
All right, well, that's fine.
You know, that's just me.
That wasn't an option in that debate.
Oh, well, it should have been. I don't even like sugar. I don't like sugar cookies. I don't like them.
There's not a lot to them. It's just kind of.
There must be something about the South, because Slay's from the South. Maybe the South is more. I don't know. Dave, what do you say? David,
that's true.
You got more sugar cookies down in the South than chocolate chip cookies?
They got more sugar down there, maybe. I
don't know.
Sugar cookies have a higher floor. Oh, why it says. Oh. Okay.
I don't know, because sometimes I've had them where the sugar's weird on them, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people that screwed up, like bad chocolate chip cookies when they screwed up. But Rasul is right. If the chocolate's melted just a little bit, Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So that was some fun stuff. There's some other things in there, too. You can find that if you look up Rasul Douglas and Big Play Slay. I was on the volume, courtesy All That Sound, and those guys. Appreciate that. That's right. Who's in there? David, chocolate chip. That's right, baby. He's got it, too.
All right. He's got it.
So Packers training camp is rocking out. It's in full swing. There's more to come. Next Friday night, we cannot be on. I have a full, well, maybe it could be on late. We'll probably do so. Should we do something Thursday instead? I got a full day Friday. Bunch of work stuff and then work stuff at night. You want to do a Thursday?
I don't care.
All right. We'll probably do a Thursday next week, guys, and then we'll get you caught up on what we hear at training camp this time. And then remember, we got the big trip coming up middle of August. We'll be there. We'll be there for a couple of days. Training camp.
David, what is it, like 109 down there or what? Jeez.
On our dashboards. Oh, gosh. Yeah. It's David. Feel bad.
It's been hot here. I don't even leave the house.
Yeah.
It's the other day. Wednesday I had the day off. I just stayed in the house the entire day. I didn't even go outside. It was like 92 or 91. And I'm like, nope, too much for me.
We lucked out a little bit because I think it was supposed to be like upper 90s, almost 100, and then it kind of snuck south a little bit. But yeah, it was a big band of the country and crazy, but worse in the South. So David, keep it cool down there. Everybody else, be good, stay good. We'll catch you Thursday night next week, and then we'll be ready for 110. Yuck! Sorry, David.
What the crap?
Stay cool. Try to stay out of that garbage heat. And
anything above 72 is too much for me.
Yeah, it's no good, man.
That's insane.
We'll have more Packers stuff to talk about. There's a lot more to happen. But anyway, what's exciting overall is seeing a lot of young guys, a lot of guys excited to be there, having fun, learning, supporting their other teammates instead of giving them growly looks and calling them out in the media. So that's all good stuff. We like all those changes. And Matt LaFluer can actually be in charge, I think, now, which is also probably good. Well, we'll see if it's good, but
we'll see. It might be bad. We don't know. We've never seen him coach yet. It'll be interesting to see what happens when he actually can coach.
That's coming this year, 2023.
Talked about it.
Oh, what is it? Oh, you want to talk about? You do want
last
to get
10 minutes. Last 10 minutes.
All right, go ahead.
Apparently, Sean Payton.
Damn, Sean Payton.
Did you hear about this?
I didn't watch it, whatever, but I just saw like the little clips. I didn't even see a clip. I just saw the reading.
Sean Payton
headlines.
Went nuts and started just talking trash.
Wow.
He said Nathaniel Hackett might have done the absolutely worst coaching job in the history of the NFL last season.
Oh my God. That is
saying. Then he goes,
go back and think, just let that sink in for a second. Think of all the terrible coaches. That includes freaking Urban Meyer. Are you full of shit? Like, come on, Sean Payton. That is some BS. Come on, no one did worse than Urban Meyer.
And he's like, where are the parents? He's like, then he goes and he blames the GM and the president. And he's like, what are all these guys doing? Like, why weren't they watching what was going on around here? And they're still there. And he's talking smack about them.
Wow.
But the reason why I'm bringing it up,
he does have a big ego.
Oh God, Sean Payton thinks he's like he won a Super Bowl freaking 13 years ago. Like, dude, it's been a long time. Mike McCarthy won a Super Bowl more recently than you.
Woo!
So just throwing it out there. Heads up. But anyways, that's kind of weird to me that Sean Payton always gets a pass. Like, people think he's a genius.
Yeah.
But everybody thinks Mike McCarthy's a moron.
Yeah.
Which he very well might be. I don't know. But it's like, why is McCarthy like Sean Payton had Drew Brees?
Yeah.
McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers.
And
like, why does Sean Payton get a pass and McCarthy doesn't get a pass?
And Sean Payton probably wouldn't have won that Super Bowl if he didn't get that pick six by was it Malcolm Butler or one of those guys? Can't remember who it was. Anyway,
What? No. That was when he was the guy who did the second half onside kick.
Yeah, he did the second half onside kick, and then they got a big pick six return to help win that game. Otherwise, they wouldn't have won. So Drew Brees wouldn't have won about. Anyway, you're right though. Sean Payton always gets a pass. He always gets.
The reason why I bring it up is
not sure why.
Apparently, Nathaniel Hackett is a great guy. We all know that. He's awesome.
William G points it out. Bounty gated his way to the. They pummeled the hell out of Favre in that.
Oh yeah, they did.
Oh my, and a lot of cheap shots, low shots. But Favre kept playing. Give him credit. Kept playing.
But the only reason why I bring it up is because who do you think is running the offense with the Jets right now? Sean Payton said apparently they couldn't get plays in on time last year with Denver, from what he hears. Now, Billy Turner had something to say.
Oh,
because Billy Turner was a Denver Bronco last season.
He was.
And he's now currently a Jet.
Yep.
With Nathaniel Hackett. Mm-hmm. And he said that Sean Payton is doing his best because when he showed up and saw what he had to work with in Denver now, he's trying to make excuses for why they're going to stink this year. That's what Billy Turner said. Basically, he said something else. He said a couple F words in there, on his tweet, but I'm paraphrasing what he said. I already said F words earlier today, so I don't know why I can't say it, but I can't exactly remember what exactly he said, but what I'm saying is this.
You don't want to misquote an F-bomb.
F-bomb. No. Yeah, those got to be always quoted correctly. Yeah. So, but I just saying, hey, who do you think's running the offense with the Jets this year? Do you think it's Nathaniel Hackett, who got walked all over from Russell Wilson? Or a bigger ego and a bigger diva baby? You think Nathaniel Hackett's calling any of these plays at the Jets? Do you think then Alan Lazard today, I saw the interview with him and Peter King, and they asked him why he came there, and he's like, oh, well, it was a lot to do with Nathaniel Hackett. That's why me and Rodgers came here, because he's just a great guy. It's not about, he said, it's not about Sunday. It's about the other 6 days of the week. Nathaniel Hackett makes those 6 days of the week fun. He makes the grind fun.
And I bet he does.
So it's not about being a coach. It's about being entertainment, apparently, for Nathaniel Hackett. That's why he's with the Jets. And that's why Rodgers went there. Because he wants to run the roost. And Nathaniel Hackett is his fool, his stooge, his entertainment for the rest of the team while Rodgers runs the offense. Just a heads up, Jets fans. Get ready. It's all going to frickin' implode. And it's going to be awesome to watch. According to Sean Payton, Nathaniel Hackett is the worst coach in the history of the NFL when it comes to being a head coach. And now he's your offensive coordinator. And your diva baby quarterback is going to walk all over him.
He's just
do whatever he wants.
Your buddy to hang out with and make you laugh.
So, yeah, I just thought that was amazingly humorous and awesome. And, even Mike Florio on his thing was like, any other coach would say these things, we'd think he's insane. And he's going crazy. But for some reason, Sean Payton gets a pass. And we just think he's a genius. And it's like, yeah, and we all agree. Nathaniel Hackett looked pretty bad last year as the Broncos head coach. So, hey, I don't know. It's pretty weird.
I mean, Yeah, I think he was in over his head for sure. Probably because he's too nice of a guy. And he likes to be positive. He likes to be super positive, keep the guys happy, joke around, make it light, all that. And you can't be that,
Can't do that.
And be especially when you're dealing with some of those personalities. Right? If you had a bunch of young
all over you.
Right. And that's what Wilson did. And Wilson stunk up the joint and then threw all the shade at his coach. And then everybody said he was the worst. And what was the other thing that came out? So it was like the worst coaching job. And then what was the other thing? God, there's one other quote that was just ridiculous. I saw a headline of it. I can't remember now. But that's bad enough.
I'm just talking about the Hackett stuff. The thing is this: when you're a head coach, or when you're an offensive coordinator, you have to be willing to call the guy out when he plays like crap.
Yeah.
And I don't think Rodgers ever got held to any type of responsibility for when he made a mistake, except for last year when Tom Clemens actually gave him grades or whatever. And then when they lost the game, and then he got a good grade from his coach, he let everybody know that on Pat McAfee. Oh, I got a good grade for this game. Okay, I wonder what his grade was in the Lions game. I bet you that was dog shit bad. And at least Tom Clemens held him responsible a little bit there for a while, Obi Tom. But now we need Obi Tom to coach up Love and keep him held responsible. And I think that's the one thing that Matt LaFleur can now do is with a lot of young players, hopefully it hasn't salted his image as a nice guy. I think LaFleur still kept a little bit of a tough guy, not tough guy, but like, hey, I'm in charge here. Respect with most of the guys, Well,
where Hackett, look at how he stepped into that Rasul Douglas situation. I mean, I would have when Rasul said that, I was shocked. I'm like, you mean Matt LaFleur came to you when you were backing off just because Kevin King came back from his injury, and you're like, I know how this works. Guy who makes more money than me and was on the team, he gets a spot back no matter how good I was playing. And then LaFleur goes to him in practice and is like, hey, what are you doing here? You want this? If you want to give it to him, fine. But if you want this, go with the ones and show us what you can do.
But wouldn't the coach, like, if LaFleur and what was his name? OG, they call him OG. The guy who went to the
Jerry
Gray.
Johnny Gray.
Don't they have that figured out? Who's the starter at cornerback? Like, why is Kevin King just walking out there with the ones all the time and Rasul not able to walk out there? Like, isn't this established? Like, doesn't your position coach know from your head coach what he wants?
Well, we know the head coach doesn't know what who the position coaches are putting in there a bunch of times.
I know. That's the one thing about it that scares me is that so the position coach just let Kevin King walk out there, and Rasul's like, okay, I guess he's starting, and nobody talked to Rasul about this.
That's a communication problem.
Yeah. That's a little concerning, but I don't want the show to go on, and I got to work at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
But that's the one thing that concerned me about it was like, really, like, you just let, Rasul just let Kevin King just walk out there and like, he just went out with the number ones. Like, nobody told him not to. I don't know. And I know he didn't start the game. Rasul came in after a while and played great against, but like Rasul made the play that won the game against Arizona. Like the next game, and so I don't know. It's just interesting that was just let happen, but I do agree. That's good stuff.
At least he stood up and talked to the guy and was like, hey, I mean, that's some coaching stuff. That's some head coaching type stuff. If it's not being done by somebody else and he noticed it and he called it out, and hey, look what happened. So now, last thing about Rasul before we go, he mentioned in there about playing in the slot for everybody who talks about him not playing in the slot. He said the reason he didn't like it was because most of the pass patterns were like runoffs where the guy would run across the field and you'd have to chase him. And then a lot of times they'd do a running play right back where you left because you had to follow that guy. So then you were out of the play. And he didn't like that about it. Whereas he was playing outside and he notices it's a run, he can just go and attack the run. So that was his main thing why he didn't like playing slot that much.
Yeah. Well, the other thing was what they had him do there. They didn't have him. He wasn't able to be aggressive.
Right. Beat the crap out of guys like he should have been able to.
Yeah. Like Charles Woodson would. He didn't care. He didn't care what it was called. He just make a play. If he sees something, he's like, oh, I'm going for it. And, that's something that a guy like Charles Woodson with years and years and years in the league and clout can do. Where Rasul Douglas only been around with the Packers for 2 seasons, they had him doing whatever they told him to do, I guess. But whatever.
But now we got Keyshawn Nixon to do that.
That's right. Yeah, Keyshawn. Well, Keyshawn is quick enough. The other thing is Keyshawn's quick enough to go with the guy and then come back and play. Where Rasul, that's not his game. It's not his game. Rasul's is size, physicality, and smarts. Right.
Yep.
He doesn't have speed and change of direction. That's not Rasul. So you got to understand also what you're playing with, and that's the difference. It's like Charles Woodson had size, quickness, speed, smarts. He had everything. Like that's why he was as awesome as he was, and he could play the slot like that. The nickelback defender, or whatever, star position better than most guys because he could do everything. And we just don't have a guy like that on the team. So we got to take the guy we have, who's Keyshawn Nixon, who's a little bit smaller, but he plays tough and fast and crazy. So he's able to that's why he's so good there, because he's not afraid to get involved and make a play physically, as well as fast enough to cover quick guys. So it's a better fit.
100%. Sean Payton is crazy though, and has a monster ego.
Yeah, he is crazy.
I mean, that is such a ridiculous statement with all the terrible coaching jobs that have been done. I mean, guys that just like totally. Come on, man.
And people, and like Florio's like, did he not know this was did he think it was like an off the record conversation or something with this reporter or what?
What?
Because
hell?
The stuff he was saying, dang.
Wow.
That's crazy.
We still like you, Nathaniel Hackett. You're a good dude. Too good of a guy.
I feel sorry for him. He's too good of a guy to go through. He's gonna go through a lot this year.
Yeah.
He'll be out of the league after this year.
Yeah,
it's gonna be
he'll
sad.
When stuff goes wrong, it's all his fault.
And stuff's gonna go wrong,
even though he has nothing to do with it.
I feel
Poor
sorry
guy.
for him. I feel sorry for Robert Saleh too. He's gonna get canned too.
He'll be okay.
He'll probably be the Packers' next defensive coordinator. Ooh,
hey,
that might not be a bad thing.
Yeah.
This could be the ultimate move by Goody. He purposely trades Rodgers to the Jets so that Rodgers destroys the Jets. Robert Saleh gets canned. And then Matt LaFleur hires his best buddy to be the defensive coordinator of the Packers for next year, and the Packers win the Super Bowl next year. Holy mind explosion. It only took us 2 hours to figure it out. Goody, you stinking genius. And people say he's dumb. Maybe he's smarter than we all thought he was. And we'll have a first-round pick to go along with it. We'll get a first-round pick and Robert Saleh as defensive coordinator next year.
That would be pretty good. That would be awesome.
I would love to have that. Whatever he was doing last year with the Jets defense, I'll take that.
Well, he is aggressive. He doesn't screw around.
Holy crap. This is a genius move.
All right.
This was
I like it.
Maybe this, I like. Oh, don't keep it on the down low, everybody. Don't let everybody know that this was the plan all along. Let Rodgers destroy the Jets from within. Oh, genius, Goody. Goody is a genius.
He's playing some super chess here. All right, you guys, we'll let you go. Be good, stay good, everybody. Appreciate y'all hanging in there, hanging with us, being Packer fans, and we'll catch you next Thursday for a new show.
Tell me why I got you to come just to hold